Hey everybody, welcome back to Word Balloon, the comic book conversation show. John Suntra's here. Man, a great Bendis tapes for you today. Really excited to welcome Brian Bendis back. We've been trying to plan this for the last few weeks. Can you hear the dogs in my hallway barking? If you can, don't worry about it. Verisimilitude, as I always like to say. This is a great catch-up because we talk about everything. We talk about Wonder Comics, all the titles that Brian is writing for Wonder Comics, and of course other creators' books as well, including the debuting Dial H for Hero that just came out this Wednesday. We also talk about Naomi and Wonder Twins and Young Justice, everything. So that's exciting. And then we also talk about the fact that Will Eisner Week just happened at the beginning of March, and Brian had a very special guest, Dennis Kitchen, and we talk a lot about Will Eisner's impact. And some interesting stuff about Will if you don't know about it. A documentary that you should be aware of, a great comic book documentary about Will, and a few other things as well. Then we get into Superman, of course, and talk about Superman in Action Comics, big changes. The Leviathan event is coming up. We have great detail on what Brian could tell us about the upcoming Leviathan event, and what's been going on with John Kent, what's been going on with Jor-El, and the various storylines that have opened up in Superman and Action Comics. Pretty cool stuff. Then we also get into Brian's story in Detective Comics 1000 that he did with Alex Maleev. Speaking of Batman, we talk about the Wal-Mart Batman series. Good news for people who aren't near a Walmart. Sounds like they'll be collecting these Walmart stories by the end of the year. So that story with Bendis and Nick Darrington, we get again a bit of a glimpse of what Batman's been doing in the Walmart books. Pretty neat stuff. And then we also talk about all the Jinxworld books as well. You know, Cover, Pearl, United States of Crime Incorporated, Powers, Scarlet, you name it, we're talking about it. Brian tells us what the future is for a lot of those story arcs, and we reflect on some previous arcs that have just wrapped up as well. So it's all in a nice little package. I'm pretty pleased with all the various things we did talk about, and happy to share it with you today on a new edition of the Bendis tapes on today's Word Balloon. It's all brought to you by the League of Word Balloon listeners. Thank you, League, as always, for your great support. It's truly appreciated. Through Patreon, if you'd like to subscribe to Word Balloon, you can go to the Patreon page at patreon.com/wordballoon or click on the ad at the front page of wordballoon.com. But thank you, as always, for your support, League of Word Balloon listeners. Word Balloon is also brought to you by Aftershock Comics. They are shaking things up in 2019. They're calling it the year of reading dangerously, and there's a reason why. They've got great graphic novels and comics that are sending shockwaves throughout your local comic shop with groundbreaking series like Garth Ennis and Goran Sudzuka's A Walk Through Hell. There's Animosity by Marguerite Bennett and Raphael de la Tour. In fact, Animosity is this year's Aftershock Free Comic Book Day coming in May. There's also Dark Red from Cullen Bunn and Juan Doe. And new reads like Oberon from Ryan Parrott and Mike Slakovic. There's also Stronghold from Phil Hester and Ryan Kelly. Dark Red from Tim Seeley and Corin Howell, that just came out last week. And a new graphic novel featuring great war comics from Garth Ennis and Keith Burns, Out of the Blue, Volume 1. 72 pages of gripping action, adventure, and aerial combat presented in full color on the finest paper stock and in the popular oversized European hardcover format. So lots of great books on the way and currently available at Aftershock Comics. Some of your favorite artists and writers are there making really interesting books. Check it out. You can find full story descriptions, preview art, and the diamond code to order these books through your local comic shop at AftershockComics.com. All right, let's get into our conversation with Brian Bendis, a new Bendis tapes. It was recorded last week on New Comic Book Day, so I'm a little behind, although I did read today's Action Comics and Detective 1000. Man, good stuff. Unbelievable stuff. And you get a good sense of what's going on in action, even though the issue hadn't come out. Brian teases some interesting facts about today's issue. So I enjoyed this conversation, as I always do. Happy to catch up with Brian Bendis on a new Bendis tapes on Word Balloon. All right, we're rolling. Welcome back, Brian Bendis.
We're here.
Yeah.
We're rolling.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Honestly, it's like...
Are you giving people updates on your situation?
Yeah, yeah, and I haven't, obviously, I think in a week or so. So I think since Brubaker and I talked,
All right, give them an update. Let's have an update on your health.
Yeah, no, honestly, I'll get a screen graft next week or next month, excuse me. And they'll schedule it like April 2nd, and we'll see when it is. And I'll be down for like a week post that. But then they say I can get around on one of those knee scooters. Have you seen those?
Oh yeah. I'm looking forward to mine.
So they, well, they asked me to get a walker. And to be honest, once I got out of the hospital, I was okay with my voice is a little raspy. I don't know why. I think because I'm talking so much.
No.
But we'll take care of that for the next 3 hours. But so I got this walker, and I really haven't used it at the house because I was able to get around, and no balance issues or anything. They've given me one of those giant compression boots that have all Velcro, and even like one of those Nike pumps to make it even tighter
really?
or whatever. Yeah, because they're like, just keep your ankle immobile. Try not to go more than, at first it was 1,000 steps a day, and now they're like, if you do 2, don't do more than 2. So I'm not going to be, as we're recording this, C2E2 is this weekend in Chicago. And
Are you going?
No, that's my point. I'm not going to the show because that's too much walking, but I will be at the Hyatt hanging out because, everyone's...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I asked them. I checked with the doctors, and I'm like, is that okay? And they're like, well, once you get tired, go home. And I'm like, all right. I go, that's no different than normal. So yeah, I'm going to try and do that on Thursday and Friday at the very least. Not Saturday though. And I'm back on the radio, limited hours. They put me on for 2 days this past week and 3 days next week. But it's okay. No, everything's going right. I'm getting back in the swing. And unfortunately, no conventions for me until next year.
Well, I'm not doing C2E2 in solidarity with you, so. Until you're back on track, I'm not doing any shows.
Are you going to be at WonderCon?
No, you know what? I got to say, and I feel bad about it, but no, I'm not doing any shows for the foreseeable future.
Okay.
I go through these waves of, oh no, I should be parenting.
Sure.
It's nothing other than, you kind of get the sense that like this is a wave. And other parents know what I'm talking about. There's like waves where you go, oh, the kids just need you to be there.
Yeah.
And there's other times the kids need you to be there, right?
Sure.
So I feel this year is, we went through a lot last year, like a ton.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to stay home. But I feel bad because I genuinely have been given some amazing invitations. WonderCon really wanted to do like a Wonder Comics, WonderCon thing, but we couldn't.
Wow.
I know.
That's good.
As the show gets closer, I wince because Real Magic was offered, but I had to make a choice to A, stay home and parent, and B, as people can tell already, I have taken on an enormous amount of work in an attempt and not just to do a lot of pages, but in an attempt to really try something special in my writing. So I should stay home and do that. So I'm going to do that.
No, it's cool. Honestly, man, I'm glad that there's so much diverse product that you're doing.
Yeah, and it's all like universe building and world building. Like it's like exhausting, So I'm gonna stay home and do it, and so maybe in the fall or in the winter we'll get some shows on the calendar. But this summer it looks like I'm gonna stay home.
Okay, that's cool.
And also I'm teaching. Me and David Walker are teaching. It's been really, really good semester for teaching too. So doing our thing.
That's cool. Have you had Dennis Kitchen yet in your classroom?
Just last week, we gave up our class to the Dennis Kitchen lecture here in Portland for the Will Eisner week. Every semester, we show the Will Eisner documentary, and we open up our class to the public for everyone to watch the documentary. And because it is not available for streaming, people who own that documentary, that's nuts. And yeah, it's not. It's crazy because every semester I lose my copy. Run to the internet to download a copy, and it's not available. It's
That's
crazy.
Hilarious. You're right. You're right. That's funny because I lost my Blu-ray and reordered it recently.
I just spent $48 on an overpriced Blu-ray myself.
Wow. So, because that's interesting. I wonder if it's out of print.
For people who don't know, the Will Eisner Portrait of a Sequential Artist. It's a very high quality comic book documentary, of which there are a lot of very fun documentaries, but this one is one of the most high quality ones.
No question.
Meaning it doesn't have 80s cheese all over it. It is narrated by
I don't
Mouse, Art Spiegelman.
Oh, Spiegelman!
And
I didn't even know that. That's fantastic.
Through his entire career, which is basically a Forrest Gumping through the history of comics.
Yes,
and it's quite something. So if you, for those who don't know what we're talking about, that documentary is so amazing that I show it to class, and then for this semester we had Dennis come in right after the documentary and then talk about Will.
That's outstanding. And
that was last week.
That's fantastic. Another reason to get the Blu-ray, you might be aware of the Dark Horse book called Shop Talk that collected all of those great one-on-one interviews that Eisner did when Kitchen Sink Press was publishing The Spirit. And in the back, that was the new material. And Will would have these one-on-one conversations with Jack Kirby and Milton Caniff, his artist god from Terry and the Pirates and Steve Cannon and everything, and all the Canyon and all these other interesting creators. It's fantastic. Well, you get the original audio interviews that Will did.
Holy shit! Really?
Yeah. That's one of the bonus features. That's fantastic. Awesome. Seriously, man.
You realize that Will may have invented the podcast too.
That's what I was kind of getting to. Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No. That's good. Yeah, you did. That's fine. It's good timing as long as one of us says it. Yeah, man.
I actually quote one of the lines in Cover, the book I did with David Mack.
Yes.
Will and Jack Kirby are talking about how people always come up to Jack and ask him what kind of pencil he uses, as if it's a magic pencil, And he always has to find a kind way not to say it's not a magic pencil. And that's kind of the theme of what Cover is about.
Absolutely.
So we actually lean into that story.
The first arc wrapped up just a couple weeks ago, and let's start with Cover. Why don't we? Because
sure, I wasn't guiding, but sure.
No, but seriously, man. No, I did my homework. I'm reasonably caught up. Although today is New Comics Wednesday, and I haven't had a chance to look at what's available.
No problem.
Via Comixology, which I've been leaning on.
You've been busy.
Well, yeah, and I'm a shut-in, outside of doctor's appointments. They haven't been letting me walk around much, and which is why, again, I'm thrilled about this weekend. But anyway, no, man, great fucking first arc. What is the plan? Is it going to be like Image Books where you'll do a volume, take a few months off, and come back? What's the plan?
It's going to be a mixture of stuff, and it's just going to be like where the whimsy takes us and what we can do in reality. Mm-hmm. And for every book has its own
story.
But basically, what can the artist handle?
Okay, I see. You're talking about all.
And it's also it's a mixture of stuff. I used to be very steadfast in oh my God, we have this great idea called Powers. Let's do it for 20 years. Right. And now we're at a stage in our careers where I don't know if I have 20 more years. So you go, but I did have a notebook full of stuff I want to get to. And as you and I were talking briefly before we started, both you and I have had some health scares this year, and it forces you to look at stuff differently and go, well, I would, and I was literally laying in a hospital told I was done.
Yeah. Right.
With a notebook full of shit I wanted to get to.
Yeah.
With my friends. So it's going to be a mix of wrapping stuff up just to get to the next thing that I want to do.
Okay.
And there's something very magical here. We're not done yet. So Pearl kept going, and Cover, and on top of it, Cover was exhausting for David. That was an enormous amount of multimedia work.
Understood. Yes.
In a 6-month time.
Yes.
And that last issue is 29 pages, not 20 pages. So he needs a couple of months to just regroup and do his Fight Club covers and whatever crazy other videos he's directing. He's got a lot of projects, So
sure. Yeah.
So when he's around, so when he comes back around, we're either going to do another round of Cover, which we have another idea, or something else, which was the original idea we were going to do before Cover. So we have other things to do. So I will let you know when it happens. And the same thing with Scarlet, where we're we just ended on a good note.
Yeah.
Should we do more Scarlet or get this other thing done before we die? So, yes.
So you and Maliv might be working. Okay, you might be moving on to something else. You and Maliv.
Yeah. And we'll know when the time hits. And I don't mean to be so freaky, but the world has given us all the opportunities, so we just have to make sure we make the right ones for us.
Okay. Is he DC exclusive right now, Maliv?
I don't know what his deal is, but he and I have a series of projects coming out all through DC, so I guess so.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah,
So
exactly.
I don't know what I don't know what the logic of his deal is, but we are doing a series of creator-owned and DC projects.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Because, well, and I know that he was there before you got there. So, or at least doing work there.
Years before. Yeah, no, he was doing Batman, and I was reading it going, I wish I was writing this Batman that he's drawing. So, and then, people already can see our work in Detective Comics 1000. It's available for free online through Entertainment Weekly.
Lovely.
But also, Alex just handed in his stuff for the new DC 25-cent issue this year.
Awesome.
And this year it's Year of the Villains, and it's gorgeous. And if you've ever wanted to see Alex Maleev take on Green Arrow and Batgirl and some other, I really like lining up a bunch of characters that I think, as a fan of Alex, I would like to see. And he's really killing it.
Cool.
It's really exciting.
That's awesome. No, that's great. No, it's, Scarlet looked great. Another good volume. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, I mean, but before we leave cover and everything.
Oh, yeah, please. I didn't mean to.
No, it's all good. Great start. I mean, honestly, I really enjoyed it. I loved the inside jokes. And forgive me if it sounds condescending, listener, but I wonder, like, is everyone hip to, like, the atmosphere that you've set up for this? Because, yeah, I mean, it really does happen at comic conventions and the conceit of it.
I figured it like, when you watch a movie about making movies or music, or a TV show, like they give you like you just kind of know they know what they're doing and that they know what they're talking about. And even if you only get like half of it, it doesn't matter. It just sounds authentic.
Yes,
like even when you hear scientists talking, or like even like you watch, I remember George Clooney was talking about the ER dialogue, and he was like, I don't know if this is authentic. But they think it is.
Doctor speak. The doctor speak.
Doctor speak. So So I figured if I, as authentic of our speak as I could do, I figured, number one, they'll just know, but that enough people who'd be reading the book listen to this show. Yeah. And that might be enough to get them hooked into the next 20%, or they go to shows, or they listen to other podcasts. And I figure people are more in or have the ability to get inside more than they even know. So I thought that was the answer. And also, like, you know what? Sometimes you write a line of dialogue that really is only for one person to laugh at. And as long as they found it funny, I legitimately don't care if anybody else does. And for issue 6, the line was one character says to the other character, "Do you hear me talking to Frank?"
Yes.
And everybody from my generation has come to someone else in my generation and said, "Hey, did you hear me talking to Frank? Or did you see me talking to Alan? Did you see me talking to Walt?" Yeah. And they don't even tell you what they talked about. They just wanted you to see that they were talking to them. Right. And I was very, very cute. And I knew a lot of my peers could relate to it. I put it in.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. No, it's obvious. It's very authentic. What little I know about, the after hour world of conventions and stuff. Yeah. It all rang true.
Yeah. And it was cool because like some of it was written, like I had written something else in issue 5, and then Thanksgiving happened at our house, and it was kind of magical and warm and full of comic book people. Fun. And literally David was asleep on my couch here in the office, and I rewrote the whole issue, like based on the more truthful thing I experienced that I had never seen in a book. So I was trying to keep it as like raw to the moment as possible too. So just so it would feel like real. I really enjoyed it. I love the backgrounds of all the various other creators that show up, and you guys. And I like David created this mixture character of Sam Humphries and Jim Mahfood and David Walker. that was in, and if you were at dinner, they were all at that dinner, and he mushed them all into one person. And all of us look at it, and it's fascinating.
That's hilarious, especially how different all three of those guys are. Yeah.
I said to Sam, if you wanted to know what it would look like if you and Jim Afford had a baby, now you know.
That's terrific, man. That's hilarious.
Thank you. And I was genuinely relieved by the response of this book. Obviously, we're bleeding on the page a little here, and it gets, you can. Yeah, I was relieved. I was really happy people got it. There's a version that people weren't in the mood for it, and I was really happy people were.
Yeah, and it does. It straddles the worlds of comic conventions and modern espionage quite well, and I like it.
You'll like this. So some people in this, we did say, hey, we're doing this weird thing in our book, and they just laughed and said okay, and other people, we just went ahead and did it. And one was like, I don't know the people at the Brazilian show, and I just took it upon myself to say that CIA funds that entire show, and then we did the joke in the book is we're all having dinner together, and we all get invited to the show, and we all get an appearance fee, and an appearance fee is really special, right? That's the definition of like just magical money.
Sure.
And so the idea that everyone would get the offer at the same time sounds too good to be true, and of course it is. The CIA is funding the show. So the next morning after the book debuted, issue 5 debuted, both David and I got that offer to that show because they read the book. So I think we are going to go to Brazil at the end of the year, but I was they sent us the panels of the comic and said, we are giving you this offer. I was like, no! So meta on top of meta on top of meta.
That's awesome. And hey, that's, of course, Rod Rice and Joe Pruitt country and Ivan Hayes and everything. That's
yeah.
That's awesome. And Brazil's an awesome comic market. I love it. They really love American comics.
David's been down there a few times. They've been offering me down there for ever, and I just can't go. But like Mike Diodato, Ivan Rice, some of my greatest collaborations are there. So.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I don't blame you, and that's fantastic. And yeah, man, no, that's it's the corners of the world. You got to hit South America. That's fantastic.
And also, you listen, this thing, it's me and David Mack.
Yeah.
It's my brother. You want to make special stuff with your brother. And I think you got a sense of this from some of our friends. David Walker has flat out said it out loud. A lot of people said yes to me in the hospital, and now that I'm fine, so like next week, Dilate for Hero is coming out. Dan said yes to that when I was in the hospital. So. So I'm so happy the books are good and my friends were rewarded for their genuine collaboration. You know what I mean?
Yes. Refresh my memory. Who's doing Dial H again? Is that Russell?
Sam Humphries,
that's right, Sam. Yes, go on.
And Joe Guinodes. Yes.
Oh, fantastic! Yes, indeed.
Fun.
Sure.
And he nailed it, and it was so great. And Sam has said this story in the press, but I think people think he's joking, and he's not. I literally looked at him in the hospital, and he flew up when I was sick, and I said, "Dial H for Hero," and he said, "What now?" and he was unfamiliar with it, and as big a nerd as he was, it was something he had to go research,
okay,
and try to figure out why does Brian want me to do that? like it was such a So I was so happy that he got it.
Oh, that's cool.
But his first glance reaction was exactly what he wanted to see.
See, I was
like, whatever he thought I was going to offer, anyone that.
I have one word to say, and you'll see what kind of Dial H fan I am or aren't. Sakamaji. I mean, come on.
You're so funny. Also, the other funny thing about Dial H, because it's coming out next week, we talk about it, is in so people who don't know,
go for
who
it.
are just going to buy blind, this was a book in the 80s where you had a dial phone.
It was in the 60s, too.
You Google what a dial phone is. And if you dial the word hero, you would become a superhero for 1 hour. You don't get to pick what kind of superhero or what your powers are. It's like as random as it gets, right?
Yep.
So it's kind of like the LOL surprise dolls, but with superpowers. So Yeah, I got kids.
That's good. I like it. Yeah, but that's a good translation.
So
Go on.
This was the greatest idea ever. And now that phones don't exist anymore, it's even a better idea. And in the back in the day, and it's so funny to think of now, but back in the day, DC said you could send in your idea for a superhero.
Yes.
And if they used it, do you remember what you get?
No, tell me, please.
A T-shirt.
A Dial H T-shirt, I would assume.
A Dial H T-shirt
Wow.
for your original IP.
Holy shit.
So
that's a good point.
Because I would think like
you did get name checked though.
Yeah, but even my like kids know what IP is. Like even though they'd be like, wait, what? You know. So
let me see that contract again, please. Go on.
But we looked into if there was any kind of legal way to pull that off in today's day and age.
No.
And no, there's not.
No. That's hilarious.
But
now that's
we went through a couple of legal hoops to see if it was just to have the fun.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, I understand. But, you do remember the original, don't you?
Of course.
Okay,
we have
Robbie Reed,
Sam and I have deep dived. Sam's Dial H references the original. It could be seen as a continuation or its own thing.
Excellent. That's excellent. I loved Pfeiffer's Dial H series as well. I didn't read China Melville's one from just a couple.
China's is super dark. I like it, but we're not doing China went into that. What would it really be like? You know,
sure.
And it's very good. But so we're very clear, if that's the only exposure people ever had to Dial H, this is not that.
Yeah, this is a happy book. Yeah.
The first issue, the guy turns into an Extreme Comics 90s superhero. Yeah. Yeah, we're having all the fun.
That's great. So. The only name check hero that Robbie Reed ever became was Plastic Man in the 60s. I remember there was one.
That's true. No, there was a couple more. There's a couple esoteric, and there was even a Superman appearance one time.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, the legalities got weird and they stopped.
Yeah, and they were always like, interesting, kind of goofy, classic Silver Age, weird superheroes and stuff in a lot of cases as well. It was good though. No, I loved it.
But I must say, as we've slid on to Wonder Comics, I am so deeply happy with it. When I came to DC Comics, this was offered to me. Like it wasn't in my things I wanted in a pile. I am so glad I did it. It has been such a positive, creative experience, and all the books reek of an energy that I desperately wanted on the shelves. And I'm so happy. And the response is everything you'd want. Like today, Naomi 3 came out today.
Yeah.
Where we really start turning over the cards, and so it was a very fun day for us today.
That's awesome. That's
very exciting. Yeah,
that's been very enjoyable as well. I've read the first 2 issues, and no, you guys are onto something, and it's a very good, fresh concept and interesting characters, and no, I got sucked in pretty fast. It was good. So yeah,
thank you. Yeah, and this is Jamal, who is the artist. We were all on the phone last night. That's why we couldn't do our taping last night. Jamal, we are creating a whole world of stuff together, and it is it's so exciting to be standing next to an artist who's having this kind of a moment. Where they're just on fire. Well, it's so exciting.
Excellent, man. So did when they came to you with Wonder Comics, did they have concepts in mind? It was, what would you do with these characters? What did he say? Yeah.
Listen, it was an early meeting, and we were both like coming with our list of hopes and dreams, and he came with here's things we have to offer that maybe Marvel hasn't offered him,
Sure.
And he goes, we're having a lot of luck with our what they call pop-up imprints, the Young Animal, the Sandman universe, Wildstorm, where they're contained and they speak to their own energy. And he goes, if you have something like that you want to pursue, we're way into it, right? And I was like, oh, and I had not considered it. And I was laser focused on what my creator-owned home would be, and what on earth what truth I could find in DC Comics universe,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
And literally the I found a lot of truth at Marvel. Can I find my truth in DC, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some creators could do both, and some creators over the history of the decades have only been able to find one at one place or the other, right? And I wanted to make sure I could do both, like some of my heroes could, right? So that's what I was focused on. And then he dropped this imprint idea. And I was like, oh my God, what would that be? You know? And of course, very flattered, because who wouldn't want to be like in the same breath as Warren and Neil at Gaiman and Gerard Way, right? Mm-hmm. And also knew Mike Oeming was working on Kate Carson.
Yep.
Having a blast.
Yep, great book.
So and Nick Zarrington was having fun with Doom Patrol. So I wanted to create that kind of environment where I could host a bunch of people I really admire and let them go nuts and have them have an experience not unlike I get every day, you know. And I know that I'm kind of lucky that I get I get to really explode and break myself apart every day. So I thought, oh, let's do like a line of crime comics. I'm a crime comics guy, and started thinking what that would be. And then I realized that Jinxworld is a line of crime comics, basically. It is. Like it is. It is. So what? So then I started thinking about, well, Superman fell into place very quickly. So I was having a good sense of like what my DC flavors were going to be to start with, and also that Batman project with Nick Zarrington came into place very quickly.
The Wal-Mart Batman, yeah.
So I kind of had a sense of, oh, here's what I'm going to be doing at DC to start. And then literally as I was wrapping up my last issue of Miles Morales, I was like, oh, I'm going to miss this. I'm going to miss young characters in that moment trying to figure it out. And so I was like, what is that? And then I also knew that DC had these like a young imprints like Zoom and Ink coming.
Yes.
But those are much younger readers.
Yes.
So I was like, oh, well, let me talk to them about that. And I said, here's what I'm thinking. Like, you know, let's just start at basically the Ultimate line where it's contained, but it's in continuity, and it's just these characters at this moment, right? Mm-hmm. And he got all like glassy eyed, and I was like, what? He goes, Young Justice. And Dan said, I go, what? He goes, Young Justice. Like they've been looking for a home for Young Justice or a way to launch.
Yeah.
And I basically pitched Young Justice, not knowing that was desperately on their minds. And also that Pat Gleason had been eager to do Young Justice more than anything else.
Interesting. Sure.
And wasn't getting his thing off the ground in the time that he wanted. So this was we were, oh my God, a lot of problems being solved at once is a great pitch.
Sure.
Right. Because not only that, it was getting like 6 or 7 real big characters back on the board, like Connor, and like these are like Cassie, is a huge character, and he's nowhere to be found. So I was really like in my first 2 weeks at DC, like really checking off a lot of things off of Dan's list. That was really his wish list. That was really sweet. And it was stuff I desperately wanted to do. So he said Young Justice. I said great. Me and David have a new character we wanted to do. He said great. And then I said Wonder Twins. And I said, and I wonder, and I think I said, I see, like, of all the books, Wonder Twins is the most like Ultimate Spider-Man in its tone.
Interesting,
right?
Sure.
And he looked at me with that look like, I'm so happy you're here. How do I say no?
Oh, humoring you.
No. Like, how do I talk him out of this? Because I've been around the block. Like I've had Joe Quesada has done this to me with such grace that I didn't notice it happened for a year, where they talk me out of something in a way that it makes me feel it was my idea.
So he was trying to talk you out of it?
No. He had said no to so many people about Wonder Twins specifically that saying yes to me was a big pain in his ass, right? So he basically said to me, you better come up with something that makes him be able to look at the other people and say, Brian had this much shit together on one, you know?
I'm hip. Yeah.
So it's basically find someone who's so good even I have to say yes. right?
Okay.
So Mark Russell.
Yes.
So, and it was funny, there was an editor who said, I don't know how you're going to cast this. And everyone said yes right away.
No, that's brilliant, honestly, and certainly coming off of the Flintstones and everything, he's great.
Yeah, I said after Snagglepuss, I go,
yes, Jesus.
I said, I'm assuming he will see the value in this, that he'll see that this is an empty vessel in which he can fill it up full of gold like he did with the Flintstones,
Absolutely.
right? And I said, I didn't know Mark. Now me and Mark are friends, but I didn't know Mark at all. And I was hoping that he would see what a gift it was, right? And not a joke. And he immediately got it.
Awesome. That's excellent.
Like immediately. And as I predicted, I gave him no notes other than go for it. And I said something about that I originally saw the truth of Ultimate Spider-Man in there, but I don't know what that means. And you have your own truth, so I'm not asking you to go looking for mine.
Sure. Yeah.
So I said that's all I'm going to say about this, other than I don't want it to be a parody, right?
Right. Yeah.
But it can be funny as fuck.
Sure.
And he brought it. And it's so funny because I told him I may have told you this story when we were launching that like I had gotten the Funko Pops of the Wonder Twins from a friend, and I was unboxing them with my daughter like way over a year ago, and my daughter's like leaning on my desk, and she loves animals and all kinds of stuff, and we're unpacking, and I pitch her. She goes, "What is this?" And I go, "This is a brother and sister, and they're aliens, and they're twins, and if they punch their fists together, they get their superpowers activate." And she goes, "And this is their monkey?" I go, "This is their pet alien monkey." She goes, "This is the coolest thing I've ever heard of." So I said to Mark, so my 6-year-old at the time said, "This is the coolest thing I've heard of." Now prove her right. Yeah, Tabitha. It was Tabitha. Yep. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
So yeah, and I'm Steven. They did such a great job.
Yeah, it's great. No, again, good energy. Absolutely, man.
So with the whole line, Sam I'd worked with at great length,
right.
and I'd worked with Joe, and David and I are teaching together, and though we didn't know Jamal, we were like, I'm there. It's a personal thing. So Wonder Twins was the one book where I held my breath and hoped for the best the most, and what a home run.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
And it's exciting for people who didn't know they were a thing beforehand.
Sure.
There are people who've read Wonder Twins that this is their first exposure to it.
Of course.
Yes, because we're old.
Yes.
John,
Yeah.
we're old.
You don't have to tell me, dude. I know.
We're very, very old. Did you see my tweet about Seinfeld the other day?
What'd you say?
My 16-year-old daughter is binging Seinfeld, and she comes to me, and she just delighted by every aspect of the show. And said, my favorite episodes are the ones with answering machines. Because I'm like, what? She goes, oh, Dad, it's so cute. They have to run home and check their messages. And they do it like every episode. And me and my wife just look at each other.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Isn't that quaint?
Yeah.
Isn't that quaint?
Yeah. No, and I said later, I was like, so my wife, I go, I just realized that like when I watched like the Andy Griffith show, it was an old show, sure. And I used to go, oh, look at that. They're plugging the phone into the wall so they can call Mom Pilot.
Yeah. Hi, Sarah.
And that's exactly how she sees Seinfeld.
Of course. Jesus Christ. That's awesome and sad.
So I tweeted this, and it went fucking viral. Like it got like more likes than when I said I wasn't sick anymore.
I did see that post. That's fantastic, man.
This hurt a lot of people. This one punched the balls.
Well,
I didn't mean to.
Yeah, again, we've got a couple decades on. I'm loving I love Barney Miller, and that's purely 70s. Yeah, I know exactly. Jesus, I was going to ask you, did you ever watch the Murphy Brown reboot from this year?
I didn't. I don't know why. I didn't get rave reviews, and I didn't have the time.
It was greatly disappointing, in my opinion.
Yeah,
and it's so funny. One of those, it's antenna TV. That's like Me TV. But right before we started talking, I was catching the last 5 minutes of one of the old ones from the 90s, and yeah, the clothes look ridiculous, and people have ridiculous hairdos and stuff like that. But all that said, the writing then was sharp, and this reboot was not. And it was really disappointing because, and again, if you watch the old 90s ones, yeah, you're stuck with a lot of 90s references in it, obviously, but it was just funnier. It was legitimately a great, and Diane English, obviously, a great television writer, producer, executive, and everything, so it doesn't surprise me. But yeah, it's just, I got to say how disappointed I was in the reboot.
The other thing is, the show Friends.
Yes,
is a show that a lot of kids are watching.
No,
and no, they really love that show.
I know. I'm aware. It's their Brady Bunch. Go on.
It's filthy.
Yes, it is.
It's genuinely filthy. And clearly, I listen. I rate Powers and Jessica Jones. I'm not a prude, but my 10-year-old comes up to me and asks, legitimately not knowing, she's asking me something filthy.
Oh man.
Right? He asked me what something means, and I'll spit my drink, and it's from Friends, which aired at 8:00 on Thursdays.
Yeah.
Right?
It's during the day. Yeah, during the day.
Stuff that would never air today. It's so funny.
You're 100% right. That's a very good point. Wow. And it's for me, it's All in the Family, and you watch All in the Family, and I said, there's no way in hell this show would be on TV today. Yeah. So,
and the other thing was my daughter was in my office watching Bohemian Rhapsody, and in that movie, there's smoking in every scene, as was the time.
Yeah. And
my daughter said, wait, so he wasn't allowed to be gay, but he could smoke inside?
Wow.
Yeah. So in her world,
right,
she can be as gay as she wants, and she can't smoke anywhere.
Interesting.
Yeah, fascinating.
It is weird. It's very weird, man. All right, back to the books.
Yes.
Well, let's see, Naomi looks great. I love Jamal's art style, and it's a great story. And you've opened up an interesting cast of characters, new characters.
And I'm truly grateful for those who sat through the first couple of issues. They're very quiet. You get to know her, but things that people have seen with the issue that came out today, things get big.
Okay.
Now that we know her, we're opening some doors. Behind every door is going to be a brand new thing that wasn't in the DC universe before. And that we're very, very proud of. This is, we've been given a grand opportunity to be additive, and we're going to take it everywhere we can.
That's awesome, man. No, and I'm glad that the imprint is doing as well as it is. And there's legit.
Yeah.
Well, it's a great combination of new and also classic characters that are getting a new spin. And I think that's what was missing. Oh, you guys hit the right amount of creators and the right characters. Everything's clicking.
I gave a great deal of thought in my Superman as well about just the tone that we're putting out in the world, the energy we're putting out. We've talked about this. Mm-hmm. This there's a lot of people out there putting out a lot of angry energy, and I just we don't have to be part of that. Let's offer some hope. Yeah, it's a valuable thing to have. So
agree.
So there can be a lot of hugs in Young Justice, a lot of people hugging each other.
All right. Now, before we leave the Wonder Comics and Young Justice specifically, and I want to talk about Superman at length in a little bit, but obviously everyone wants with Connor back, and I know they're busy on Gemworld right now. I can appreciate that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that eventual family reunion between the Kents and Connor.
Yes, we're gonna. So right now, the big spoiler is that Connor might have a wife and a baby. There was a baby with a Superman head curl, which of course means it's his baby.
Uh-oh.
And what happened there? So there's a lot to unpack with each single character at Young Justice,
right?
And we're still telling the wider story of how they could all be together and be in continuity. So people are having a lot of fun with that. I'm enjoying people having fun with it. Also enjoying there's the people can tell there's a bubbling Star Labs conspiracy bubbling under all the books. Something happened in Superman that sent the Earth into the Phantom Zone, and now Connor's in Gemworld. Like something's going on. So
cool.
So we're having some fun with the show. So it's one of those things. If you're reading all the books, you'll have a lot of fun. If not, it's okay. You'll enjoy it still.
Is this all connected to Leviathan, or is this something else?
Some of it is, and some of it is, and some of it isn't.
Okay.
Some of the Star Labs did something, and then Leviathan did something. Now they got to deal with each other.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Yeah. Like I said, I'll get
new players.
Cool. Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So you're going to see this Year of the Villain is going to like open up, and people already got a sense that Lex Luthor has got a big plan, right? So that big plan is going to involve a lot of players, and each player has a plan. So we're going to have a lot of fun.
Awesome. Very good.
And if you hear like a lot of weird sounds in the background, that's my dog constantly drinking while I'm podcasting.
That's all right.
Minute 10 of the drinking is enough.
That's all right. Verisimilitude. It's quite all right. I always enjoy that in any. I like barking dogs. That has no problem with me with podcasting.
Jesus. By the way.
Well, all right. Well, maybe we should.
Yes.
Maybe should.
So for Young Justice, though,
yes.
Once we leave Gemworld, which we will be eventually leaving Gemworld. Here's what's coming up. First, we have a chapter by Chris Anka making a big DC debut, which when I asked him to do it, did not realize was such a big deal. I'm so excited to do that. And that actually, that piece is about Tim Drake and Stephanie Brown, which is something a lot of people have been asking for.
Cool.
So, and it connects to what happened in Detective Comics last year. But and is also the first time I've written Zatanna.
Oh, fun!
So that was fun because I basically type backwards as it is. So it was fun to do that. And then we're gonna dive into the big conspiracy of Gemworld. And then when they leave Gemworld, they may not make it back to the Earth they were trying to get to.
Ooh.
Yes.
Bum-bum.
And there's Earths that have not been visited, and there's some Earths that people are desperate for me to visit, and we will be showing that in issues 6 and 7 of Young Justice.
Cool. Hey, fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, all right. We should stick in the Superman universe because obviously John Kent is having an adventure on Earth 3 with the Crime Syndicate. And specifically, what would you imagine if you're, a guy who was torturing you had the face of your father? Good stuff.
Thank you. And I must say, it's interesting. This aging of John Kent is the thing I did that pissed everybody off. There's always that thing.
No, I get it because they loved Damian and John together. Obviously, Tomasi did a great job with Super Sons.
Totally.
Absolutely. And then, no, dude, are you kidding? I have a lapsed reader friend, and that's literally the only book he's interested in is Super Sons.
Is Super Sons?
Yeah.
But they still get that's the thing. They're still publishing that book. That book exists. So anyway,
how does that work?
So,
I'm sure wait a minute. Will an explanation of that come later in some way, or is Super Sons its own thing?
No, because if you want that flavor, that flavor is being published.
Okay.
But my point is that what I like about, and I by the way, I didn't do when you know this about me, but for people who are just tuning in for the first time, want to hear some Superboy rationale from this jerk they heard about on like Reddit or something. Well, here's the here's the truth of the matter is that I respect the creators that I've come behind immensely, and the first thing I do is not repeat what they did, right? Like that's the thing that when I see people like I love Kirby so much I'm going to imitate him. No, don't imitate him. Be inspired by him, right? So I do that with everybody.
Yeah.
And so I look at the family that I've been given and think about what I could do with them that would be my unique truth and bring that to it. And so that's what I'm doing now. Yes. Did I screw up the character? Did the character go on into like a murdering rampage that everybody thought was going to happen? No. I told the story of a young man who was raised by two excellent people that was given a genuine trial by actual fire.
Yeah.
And he held it together because his parents and his family were so awesome.
There you go. Absolutely.
Right? And the only way to really examine stuff like that is to test the characters, to put them in the fire, right?
Sure.
And so I know it can be upsetting to see a young person be tested, right? But like it happened to Clark. It happened to Lois. Like it happened to all of them, right?
Absolutely.
And they even knew, like as parents, like I'm a parent, like, and I know all the pain that I had to go through, that my kids are going to go, no matter what I want, my kids are going to go through pain in the world, right?
Absolutely.
So this is the story we get to tell about that, like the superhero version of parents having to sit there and deal with, you don't get to control this narrative anymore,
Right.
So and now what are you going to do? So though people may say, oh, you hate John Kent, you hate Superman, look what you did to them. That is my philosophy is the opposite. My philosophy is, as you know, John, I'm talking to others, that the way to express your deep affection for what they're capable of is to show what they're capable of.
Challenge them.
So that's absolutely. So that's what this is. And so is it no backs on John and his aging up? It very well may be, but only because we believe we have amazing stories to tell behind the scenes, like really great ones, including the reunion of John and Damian.
There you go. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that conversation. Absolutely.
I joked about it online. I go, would you what was the best part of the movie Big?
Yeah, him and his brother,
right?
And his best friend. Yeah.
But when he was aged up, so we're gonna have fun. We're gonna have some fun.
No, but a lot of intense scenes with him and his best friend, and it's I'm your best friend. What's more important than that?
And, exactly.
I'm 6 months older than you, asshole. That's one of my favorite lines from the movie. Absolutely.
Right. No, right. You're immediately just that idea plants ideas in your head about how much fun we could have with that. That is reflecting how much I respect the Super Sons, but doing something different with them. So
I'm with you.
Ta-da.
How about what?
No, I said ta-da.
Oh, ta-da. Yes, indeed.
Ta-da.
No, I'm with you. Yeah.
No, I'm doing a lot of things right now that people are kind of digging, and the one that people are like, about is John. And I know it's 50. By the way, I know when it's everyone hates something and it's 50-50, and I know this one's a 50-50.
Yeah.
So I just want to express to those who are frustrated by the idea, or even frustrated by this like basic total stranger came into your world and changed the story of the super family so dramatically. Right.
Sure.
And I was brought in to do it. I was brought in to like bring in as much new truth and new ideas. But the two things that people were worried about was John's going to go berserk and start murdering everybody like Superboy Prime.
Yep.
It was never going to happen. But I was never going to go on Twitter and say, don't worry about it. No, I want you to worry about it. Sure. I wanted you to have that, oh, look, he made it. And feel it when Lois felt it or when Clark felt it. Oh, my God, my kid made it, right?
Right.
So,
there was that appropriate, or I should say, that teasing ad that showed John back with flashing eyes. So you can, but that's good. That's good deception. Honest, dude. I'm part of the camp that please surprise me. Please do something unconventional. Yeah. And no, I think, it's funny because here's a different Connor from Angel. And when he aged from baby to douchey teenager, it didn't work. And I mean, he was supposed to be kind of a douchey teenager and everything, but you kind of hated Connor until that final season of Angel. I don't know. I mean, I'm a huge Angel fan. I know the mythos very well. And it's like you said, John is a level-headed kid and is being pressed, certainly pressed by Ultraman in the current story and everything. And we know he came out of it okay because he's back with his parents. And looking forward to more time with Grandpa. And we'll get that full story coming up because that's very interesting. And I want to see how damaged Jor-El is and why John thinks Jor-El is nuts. So
and why, and also like the biggest question is why did Clark let Jor-El take his kid with him, right? And why would he show a blind eye to his father's behavior? Okay. And I'm like, really? Have you never shined a blind eye to a relative's behavior? Well, no. Or hope that this is the time they get it together?
To be honest, and I understand that this is a damaged Jor-El and all the trauma that Dr. Manhattan has put him through. But but I don't know. Especially when Jeff was writing Action and got back to Superman and everything, and I really felt like the company in general had kind of taken the best bits from the movies and whatever as far as kind of reassembling Superman. And I just kind of assumed in the same way when Brando, by now 7 years have, passed, that whole scene and everything. No, I assumed that's what Clark thought, where it's like, all right, this is the rite of passage that he took me through. when I was younger and everything. And, whether it happened in between issues as far as if you want to combine your movie continuity with your comics continuity. But yeah, I mean, literally, I was just like, yeah, that's what he did with Clark. He did take him on this trip. And almost that Clark kind of, yeah, that's true. He did this with me. All right. Let him see the wonders of the universe.
And it's funny, like, and I realized I was talking to my editors about this too. We were talking about like the heart. Like, you can take everything away from Batman, and the audience goes, "Cool." You take anything from Superman, and people go, "No!" They get really upset.
Sure,
right?
Sure.
It's like somehow Batman's earned whatever pain he's got coming, which isn't true. And but Superman has earned none. But that's pretty fascinating to me. But it's hard to take things away from Superman for him to feel loss.
Right.
So other than death. So this was really interesting to me. This how would he relate to missing something like this?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, and that's the thing. And no, there are great conversations to come between Jor-El and Clark. Absolutely, man. No, I like it. I am intrigued by it, and it's been fun watching John's adventures in space and being a citizen of the universe and everything. Go on.
My favorite line that people will read is John is describing in the next Superwoman attacks him, and it is an evil version of Lois Lane with Superman powers.
Right. Yeah, Crime Syndicate Superwoman. Yeah,
and she's a real like a hurricane of hate.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So it's really nightmarish. And John says, "I'm so glad I had no pent up resentment towards you." And he walked away going, "Oh, good, I don't hate my mom. Great." Because that's how you find out, I guess.
I guess.
So
that's awesome. No, it's very fun.
I think people are going to find a John that they really, an older John that they admire for having pulled through.
That's good. That's excellent. I miss classic Earth 1 Superboy, The Adventures of Superman, when he was a boy. He was always a great character. And I I was kind of disappointed when that pocket universe explanation came post-crisis back in the 80s of, well, how does the Legion, have these memories and experiences with a Superboy? And it was the Time Trapper who, of course, as we later revealed, that it is Superboy Prime who was the Time Trapper. But that he created...
Nerd!
Yeah, hey, man, I love... Dude, as you know, Legion is my shit.
No, but I've been thinking about a lot about this, and I know we're gonna have a lot of fun conversations soon.
Excellent.
And hypothetically, and I will say that I think that when I think about like the pocket universes and the reboots and all of that, all of the Supermans that were and the Supermans that could have been, it all to me, in a weird way, still all feels in continuity, like it's all part of the Superman experience.
Excellent. That's great to hear.
Yes. People may, by the way, when people who don't agree with me vehemently don't agree with me on this, I grant you that completely. But having spent a great year reading way more of this than any other person other than Grant Morrison ever will, it feels to me that it is all count. It all does count. It's all beautiful work that count.
Well, that's what Grant always said about Batman, and I loved that when he
did he say that.
He
about
literally
Batman?
Said that. Yeah, he's like, as far as I'm concerned, they all happened to him. It's all the same guy.
Yeah, I got to say, without realizing he had said that, I just don't remember him saying that, but. I came to the same realization on Superman and all of the work of all these great artists and writers. It doesn't matter if they rebooted it 10 times. It's still all Superman.
I hear you, and that's excellent. And again, I mean, that's
don't at me.
No, I honestly.
So what happens is here. See, in my heart, when I'm describing this to you, I think you and I both immediately think of the best Superman story that actually doesn't count anymore. And just go, yeah, it counts because we decide it does, right?
Which one?
I would just pick it.
Any of our favorite ones that, has fallen out of continuity.
You go to your favorite.
Sure.
Some people online immediately go to the worst thing that ever happened to Superman, and that I have instantly made it continuity. Like I'm saying, cherry pick the best stuff and include it in your continuity. That's what I'm
Well,
saying.
and truly, that's kind of my point in terms of that's how Jeff explained things to me. Like, especially when he was writing action and Donner was co-plotting with him and stuff like that, Richard Donner, and
Yeah.
it's like, no, that's a great idea because everybody's seen the Superman movie, and there's great things on there that you can layer on top of what we know from the comics and stuff, and it's okay. You can make it work.
Yep.
So that's good.
Yep.
I'm for it.
Yep. Yeah. I got and we haven't talked in a few months, and I must say, holy shit, is writing Superman just the greatest?
Awesome.
It's just the greatest. I'm enjoying everything I'm doing right now, but just after all that you and I have been through and all that, just having and the world being the way the world is, it is great that I have to spend hours a day literally just thinking what's the best thing the best person would do. Right?
Sure.
A lot of us are spending a lot of time hyper focused on what the worst thing the worst people are doing because you can't help it.
I know,
right?
It's in our faces. Yeah.
What a gift that my job is to do the opposite of that and then give it back to you. I'm so relieved. I can't even tell you. I can feel it making me like a happier person.
Well,
does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely it does. And also, uniquely to Superman, it's that cast of characters, too.
Yep, the whole thing. Like even when I'm writing Superman, and then something happens that's bullshit. Oh, here's Lois Lane to call it bullshit.
Yep. Jimmy at the Cobra meeting was fantastic. That was classic Jimmy, and I loved it because it's modern and it's the best amalgam of that goofy kid from the Silver Age and a modern take on Jimmy Olsen, and it's great. And I mean, it's like I'm out on a date, and what the hell am I doing in the middle of a cult? This is awesome.
Well, I have there's something very special happening with both Lois and Jimmy.
Yes,
and people have already seen there's a solicitation for a Superman 80-page special coming in May.
Oh, cool!
That's part of it's pretty much the prelude to Event Leviathan.
Okay,
and kind of like where we are in the Superman universe right now. And so it's this big Leviathan attacks the Superman family special, mostly written by me and drawn by Yannick Paquette.
Terrific.
Inside of this are very special brand new chapters of Lois Lane by Greg Rucka and Mike Perkins, Jimmy Olsen by Matt Fraction. You heard me. Matt Fraction and Steve Lieber.
Wow, nice team. I like it.
And Supergirl by the team of Mark and Draco and Kevin McGuire and Supergirl.
Hey, that's awesome. So, Jesus Christ.
Connecting all the threads together.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Connecting all the threads together that we're working on, but introducing the major new voices of Greg Rucka and Matt Fraction into the Superman office. So more of that will be spoken of. But for those who missed Hawkeye desperately and would like to see Matt Hawkeye Jimmy Olsen, he goddamn did it. It is hilarious. It is irreverent. It is only he could make this comic. It's so as excited as you may have been to see our Jimmy. That is just an appetizer for the Jimmy that is coming this summer.
That's excellent. When did they make the announcement for those?
Well, it's in the solicitation,
so yeah. Okay.
So you can see it. But what the full announcements will be coming soon. What the actual projects are coming out of the special, and what that entails will be coming soon. But people can already see that. Yeah. Listen, as we talked about, Greg and Matt and I sat together and just talked about Superman. It's for all last winter.
Yeah.
I couldn't wait to tell them that the water's fine. Come make comics here. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And yeah, so yeah.
Well, and forgive me because if there's and then truly I would have been happy if the right woman were offered the job. But if there's one guy that gets Lois Lane, it's Greg. I mean, he's already shown that back when he was writing for the major Superman titles. I mean, no, he gets Lois.
100% agree. 100% agree. All the editors of our books that are all women agree. Greg's position with the character and take at the moment is essential. People will read it and see it. I honestly, John, it's like written for you. Oh my God. I just read a whole lettered version of what the first thing is last night, and I hadn't seen any art as it was coming in, so I had the extra benefit of, oh, this is gorgeous. It's really exciting. I can't wait for people to see
That's
it.
excellent. Hey, man,
Sorry to be teasing so vaguely, but...
but for over 10 years, I've been saying, why isn't there a Lois Lane book? Because it makes so much sense. She is the best, in the same way that Jeff Johns describes Dick Grayson and says he's kind of the center of the DC universe because everybody loves him. And Lois has that same familiarity with the DC universe and has the unique perspective of being a civilian. And yes, she's our position is that Lois is the most dangerous woman in the DC universe. Okay.
All right.
That's fine.
She is absolutely the best at her job, meaning the most dangerous.
Yes.
Look what her team is, right? So I forget her husband. Take her husband out of the equation and look who she has backing her up. Right, so it's quite something, and my agreement with you will be so illustrated in Event Leviathan, which has Lois in almost every single panel.
Outstanding. That's great to hear.
She is. It is a gathering of the greatest detectives in DC history, and she's right there.
Absolutely, investigative reporter, and it says it in her title.
She is right there. She is going to solve it.
That's excellent. That's fantastic. Yeah. No, and that's what she's capable of in the right hands. And that's why it's like, no, this book has been begging to happen as women have asked for more representation in comics. And it's like, well, you got Lois Lane, man. I mean, she is waiting in the same way that Wonder Woman was waiting to happen in the right hands as well, you know?
Yeah, I keep looking at, like, when you see good representation from another time, that like stood out, and you're like, well, why don't we do like I was Tabitha, we sat and watched the original Jurassic Park.
Okay.
And Laura Dern's character is wailing in that movie.
Cool.
She is she just unbelievable. It's just fantastic. Positive science lady. You know what I mean? Yeah, just like my daughter wants to be an animal doctor. You don't see a lot of movies with or representation like that. Sure. It was exciting.
Okay.
So, yeah.
No, that's awesome, man.
It just made me think about, like, every once in a while you get this great representation, and then we go back to shit. So
yeah.
That was my point. Like, why do things go backwards when they go forwards? It's frustrating.
I hear you, man. And I'm sorry. Who's the artist again with Matt on Jimmy?
Steve Lieber.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's amazing. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
No, I've always
really tapping into that, like the fixed Steve Lieber.
Yes, sure, of course.
Which just happens to be my favorite Steve Lieber.
Absolutely.
So I'm kind of, I didn't ask for it, but it kind of just happened, and I'm very excited.
He's one of my. So
I've never asked an artist to, like, oh, draw it like you did there, but I was hoping.
No, he and his wife Sarah have become fast friends, and people that I love seeing on the con circuit and everything. And no, I've had Steve on before, and he's awesome. He's a tremendous creator, and I mean, ever since Whiteout, but love the Fix, love Superior Foes of Spider-Man as well. You know, he's awesome. He's terrific.
And as you may think, you go, ooh, Matt and Steve together could be something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, special.
No matter how many times they try it. Yeah, so pretty excited.
Excellent.
So we'll talk more about that when they announce what the projects they're working on are. But you're going to get the first taste of them in the Superman 80-page special. So you can pre-order that. That is done, and it is gorgeous.
And it's in May or April?
I believe May.
Okay.
I think it's, yeah. So, and that is the prelude, along with everything that's happening in Action Comics right now, to Event Leviathan.
Very good.
And the name of the event is Event Leviathan.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I continue to love the motif of everyone's desk and all the Post-its that are on there. And
thank you. A lot of work goes into those.
I have
it's
no
a group
doubt.
effort. That is, I actually, at this point, I kind of state what the premise of the page is, like Lois's dirty desk, right? Mm-hmm. And I let everybody write jokes all over all of it. Like assistant editors, artists, everybody throws stuff at it. And I specifically asking for a connective glue to other people's books out there.
Absolutely.
And because I'll plug Wonder Comics all day if you just let me. So yeah, everyone gets funnier and funnier.
Well, and this is the new Rip Hunter.
And now we're trying to top each other.
I'm sorry?
And now we're trying to top each other too.
Oh, I have no doubt. No, this is the new Rip Hunter whiteboard, and I think that's a great idea. No, it's fun. Absolutely, man. Well, this
and it was coming from, and it came out of a great conversation with Dan about recap pages and what kind of fun stuff you can do with them. They don't have to be just meanwhile or previously.
Meanwhile, yes,
yeah.
Ted Knight.
So we've been this is just one of those areas where we've been just trying everywhere we can to make the comic book reading experience of these characters as unique, because these characters are everywhere now in every medium, and so the comics medium has to continue to be the most special place.
Agreed.
So from the credit page to the letter column, everywhere we can, we're gonna try to squeeze some fun and love out of it.
Outstanding, man. That's excellent.
Yeah.
No, it's both books are great. I've loved the new characters that you've introduced. The new girl reporter, woman reporter.
Thank you. And and that I will say, as mad as everybody is about John, and I grant everyone their frustration about that. I really think everyone's really into introducing new characters in these books. No one's yelling at us about Also, I think they get that we're not replacing Lois. That was the first worry, that where's Lois and who is this, right? But now that Lois has got more lines of dialogue than Superman, and people see that who she is, that she's not replacing anybody. It's kind of cool that how people are really into new characters in Metropolis.
No, it's good. It's good for the planet to be an important backdrop again, and that's what I mean, man. No, this reminds me of my favorite era, which was the 70s, and there were a lot of funky, main stories going on. But as far as the B story, it was always what was happening in the newsroom, both the television newsroom and the planet. Yeah. And you had Steve Lombard, and you had Jimmy, and you had Perry and Lois, and it felt like a real newspaper, or it felt like a real television newsroom as well. And I can say that now with genuine experience. But I know, it feels like that again.
Thanks, man. It's such a great feeling. It really, really is. And I'm a year in at DC, and Dan just came up here a couple of weeks ago to have dinner with us all and plan for the future. And the conversations are so big. Our the opportunities for us to really explore are really big, and it's really exciting, man. We started something new. We could have gone to hell.
Sure.
We could have been ugh, because that was, I'm so happy here we are a year later, and good. It was a good choice. It was the right choice for many, many reasons.
Excellent. All right. And so what can you tell me about the Walmart Batman story right now with Nick Darrington?
Well, other than if I didn't just tell you how great it was to write Superman all day, so for people who don't know, we do this series of 12-page Batman stories that are exclusive to Walmart right now. I believe they've revealed they'll be collected in the fall or winter sometime for Christmas. So you're going to get for those who do not have a Walmart near them. And again, if you don't, I apologize. I've been yelled at so much for people's location to their local Walmart. Again, of which if I had any power over that, I would certainly be wasting my time in comics if I had that kind of power. So my point is that you will be getting this material. It is beautiful, Nick Darrington comic book work. And what it was for me was a way to get over my deep performance fear about writing Batman, and find my Batman, and with the help of Nick, and then take the character all across the DC universe on this mystery quest, all across visiting all these different locations, and really a way for me to visit all these different locations and characters to introduce myself to them and to find my love for them. And so we've just had the best time.
Is it an Earthbound book, or is it universe bound, where he's traveling all over?
Well, he's on Earth, but what happened was they found there's a Fabergé egg that the Riddler stole, and there's something clearly in the egg, or it's housing something And whatever it is, it's a power source with the ability to create wormholes and time holes, but it's connected to a story. Like something happened to it, and it's trying to tell you the story of itself. You know, it's trying to tell Batman the story.
Okay.
But by doing so, it's throwing it back to the old, like Batman wakes up in the Old West and there's Jonah Hex, right?
Okay.
And so Batman has to put the pieces of the clues that are being given him together before severe damage is being done, all the while being chased by Vandal Savage, who knows exactly what is in the egg.
Because he's
trying to get his hands on it and has been trying for hundreds of years.
Interesting. Okay.
So I've been able to write Green Arrow and Green Lantern and just have a Nightwing and you know, so it's basically for those of you who will feel not duped by such a thing, but charmed by such a thing. I accidentally wrote a year's worth of Brave and the Bold.
Yeah.
Did not mean to, but about, I think, chapter 7, I wrote in script, oh my God, I'm writing Brave and the Bold.
Hey.
I literally closed my eyes and I saw like a Jim Aparo drawn Green Lantern and confessed it to Nick that I might be Mike W. Barring all over the place.
That's fantastic. So, excellent, man. Or Bob Haney for that matter, yes.
So, yeah, Bob Haney, yeah. So it truly was a great project for us that we're still got a couple more to go on.
Okay.
But the 12-page story I had never done before.
Tell me about that.
This sounds incredibly stupid. I've done 8 pages, 6 pages, 20 pages, 24 pages, 100 pages, 200. But there was something really unique about the 12-pager, and I think it had something to do with the way I structure a 20-page script, where I would really lean into a good cliffhanger around page 12 or 13 just to keep my interest going as a writer.
Okay.
And I think my natural tendency is to really drop a bomb on page 12. Oh. So it was a lot of fun to write. And the response has been so fun because some people are very frustrated they can't get their hands on these books, while others love chasing them down. Now, you and I are old enough to know that chasing down books can be a lot of fun.
Indeed. Absolutely.
Right? And it has been kind of removed from society.
Yes.
The hunt. And yes, by the way, the whole time we were hunting for books and records when we were kids, we were insanely frustrated and said, why can't I just hit a button on my phone and it magically appears in my hand? Why, oh, why can't it just happen? But now that you can do that, you do get to miss the satisfaction of, I got it.
Yes.
Now, yes, most of you know from your back issue hunting that what that feels like. But there's something cool about being a new product that it's hard to get your hands on. So I'm sorry for the hunt, but I've enjoyed people having the hunt. And when they tweet me, I got them with that genuine oomph that I knew that I had when I finally finished my Dreadstar collection.
That's awesome.
Know what it feels
sure, that's a great example. Absolutely.
So I've enjoyed that immensely, as much as my heart has broken when someone said, I can't find these fucking things anywhere.
My hunt was always for Doctor Who.
Also, by the way, say it again. What were you saying?
I said my hunt was always for Doctor Who in the 80s because we'd only get whatever the public television stations would, they'd be the Tom Baker reruns over and over again.
That's right.
And we'd get word about Peter Davidson and Colin Baker and all the other doctors that came subsequently, and it was like, we're gonna have to wait a couple of years for that, or I have to go to this one bookstore that carries Doctor Who Monthly that they import from England, and I can read Dave Gibbons doing Doctor Who comics and stuff like that. So no, you're right. Pat Oswalt wrote that whole article about the hunt and how that was missing from.
That's right. Yeah, he did. You're absolutely correct. Yeah. And he and I are the same age. So when I was growing up in Cleveland, and I was an adult in Cleveland as well, the hunt was still very much on, right? Mm-hmm. And when I moved to Portland, just because Portland is different culturally, everything I was desperately hunting for in Cleveland, there were just piles of it laying around here. It was almost hilarious. I went into some comic store, I felt I was being punked. It was like, oh, so you just have Love and Rockets. Okay, because I couldn't find a goddamn copy. It was so funny.
Well, and Powell's, right? Powell's books.
Music, yeah, Powell's book, but just so you know, and people in Portland will know, that the bookstore situation in Portland when I first moved here was so intense that as big as Powell's is, there were bookstores around Powell's that Powell's didn't own that could have enough books in them that were esoteric enough to keep their doors open across the street from Powell's.
That's awesome. That's fantastic.
Can you imagine having that much confidence
in
the craziness you're selling?
Yes.
And I love the guy's not around anymore, but he was around for years. He was my favorite bookstore. Like no matter how cool the stuff I'd buy at Powell's was, I'd always buy something cooler in his store.
That's excellent.
Right.
Yes.
And it was half a comic store. And so yeah, I appreciate the hunt. The hunt is almost over. But what a great gig. And also because it's Walmart, when it's successful, they order more. You know, in the comic industry, when something's successful, they order less. You know what I mean? They go, oh, good, we sold out. Stop ordering it.
Yeah, that's true.
But in the real retail world, when something is successful and sells out, they go, oh, we should make more of these.
Interesting.
So that's what's been happening at Walmart, which is great because beyond those who've been hunting, there's been a lot of people who it's their first comic book experience. Sure. And the actual product itself, beyond my contribution, is an outstanding 100 pages for $3-4. Yeah. Like it's a really, really high quality DC Comics for not a lot of money. And we need more readers coming in through whatever door they come in through. Absolutely. So I'm very, very happy to be part of any new reader initiative.
That's great. Well, then, King has been nice enough to, kind of loop me into what was going on in his Superman Walmart books and everything. So, yeah, that's great. And it sounds like another great example of introducing the DC universe to Batman, potential Batman readers. And I know Ceiling's doing Swamp Thing, and they're...
Mm-hmm. There's a bunch of them. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. And I think we're going to have some kind of Wonder Comics one, like a Young Justice one, up and running eventually.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we have the material, and that stuff, with the cartoon out there and everything.
Sure,
that stuff is totally,
No, that makes sense.
So yeah, and also I must say, I like being led by a good leader and giving me Batman and Tom Superman while we're doing the other book was pretty cool.
Yeah,
that was good. That was just good leadership. So I appreciated it.
No, I agree. I think neat stuff. And again, I'm looking forward. I have my own issues with Walmart in Chicago. They don't have them there. They've got them in the burbs, and so it's tough for me to get them. So
I also feel it's going to be like one of those projects that, as much noise as we make online about it, like people are going to find it at the comic store and go, "What? What did they do a Batman graphic novel?" Like I'm excited about having a book like that out. Like this is a weird thing to like about your career. But I like there's things about certain people's career you go, they did what? I like that I have some of those. Mm-hmm. Like me and Alex did a Halo graphic novel.
Yes.
Seems to never not boggle people's mind. Or now that the new one, now that Miles is an Oscar person and Captain Marvel is Captain Marvel. The fact that me and Kelly Sue wrote Castle graphic novels together is hilarious.
True. Very funny.
It is.
Yes.
People come to us at signings not with, we signed this. They go, is this real? They really do that. It's so funny. And I go, really? They go, yeah, my cousin gave me this. And I said, this is not real.
I remember.
So I enjoy every once in a while having a project out that makes people do a double take, and I feel like this Batman might be it. And I'm so proud of it.
Are there? Well, you kind of said earlier when you were talking about future potential Malief projects and everything. So there are other DC Universe projects that are on the way.
Yeah, I mean, well, right now it's Event Leviathan. We are knee deep into the biggest DC project I have done. Mm-hmm. And most different thing. And for people just seeing what they've seen, there's been a leak of the cover of preview, so people know that, and that's all they know. But for people who don't, we can talk about it a little bit if you want.
Sure. Please.
In the pages of Action Comics right now, somebody is tearing down some giant organizations. Corporal Cult, DEO, Spiral, they're all being pulled down. Argus, they're being pulled down. And very quickly, very violently, and so quickly that even Superman can't even catch up to what's happening. And all the players are in play. Everybody, Sam Lane, Amanda Waller, everybody, it's every man for themselves. And so the story is pretty dangerous, including people know that the cliffhanger from last issue is Amanda Waller kind of blowing the lid on Superman. And that is legitimately scared people in the office as well, which is always fun. And so we're getting closer and closer to finding out who and what and where is going to happen. But it is an organization and a character called Leviathan. It is steeped within the Leviathan that already existed within DC, but something has happened to it. And that will be revealed in the 25-cent issue and in the pages of the event Leviathan #1 and the Superman 80-page special.
Is the 25-cent issue, is that coming out Free Comic Book Day? What day is that coming out?
Yes, it's just like last year, and that was like the one I had the Jose Luis Garcia Lopez story in. Well, so that was in that 25-cent issue, we just did 3 stories that kind of said, here's our 3 flavors.
Yes.
Here's the 3 flavors we're doing. This year, we're doing It's the Year of the Villain. And we have some major players doing some major moves that are legitimately going to shift things in the DC universe. Like there's the things that are not going to be there anymore. And already the DEO is gone. It's over. It's not coming back.
What's gone?
Like people said, the DEO.
Oh, okay.
That's a major thing.
Yeah.
That's a major thing in the DC universe that has been destroyed, right?
Is that Mr. Bones' organization, the DEO?
Yeah. I got to write some Mr. Bones. We had some good times. I like Mr. Bones.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. I know he's fun to write. And so that's what's happening now. So starting an event, Leviathan, we're going to do something very interesting. We're going to do, it's almost like an anti-event. It's like, most events are like almost like a disaster movie where this exciting incident where the world was turned into 8 worlds. This is almost like Sleuth, which is a reference I thought you'd appreciate.
Yes.
This is almost like the whole event is a bottle episode where the detectives are going to kind of figure it out in front of each other.
Interesting.
When I set out to do was to create a story specifically for Alex, but that specifically geared in the opposite direction what you normally see as the events, because I think that even a lot of readers are kind of hip to what the event is, right? To the language of the event. And what I think I liked about Metal was that Scott found some really anti-cliche ways to get to his big giant story. And I thought some of the audience reaction was about that. So in our sense, we're going to do our version of that, which is a much quiet, like a thriller. Like I said, like if Civil War was like the Towering Inferno, this is like,
Murder on the Orient Express, or
yes, exactly. Murder on the Orient Express or Sleuth. It's a whodunit.
Yeah,
it's a whodunit. Who is Leviathan? What do they want? And
do we know obviously you've said Lois, and obviously we assume Batman's involved. Do we know all the detectives that are going to be involved?
Well, slowly they're going to be integrated into the build-up. Okay, but people have already seen the Question is already front and center.
Yes.
In the story. So starting with event Leviathan #1, I can tell you it stars the following people: Lois Lane, Batman, Green Arrow, Steve Trevor, Plastic Man, The Question. Did I say The Question already?
No problem.
The Question, and other people I don't want to say.
Okay.
But let that be the template.
Sure.
Of which, but there are other characters coming in: Manhunter, Kate Spencer, that I think are going to be very excited to see.
Excellent, and I hope there's room for Ralph Dibny somewhere in there. I don't know,
Well, we got a Plastic Man.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Listen.
This has been your long dream. Finally getting Plastic Man
on this podcast.
Indeed,
going back many years,
decades.
I have held back my Plastic Man pitch for this moment you and I never thought was going to happen.
I'm amazed.
So
wow. Finally.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
So I won't lie to you. When the first Plastic Man drawing from Alex peeked up, and again, I'm the only person on the planet Earth who said, God in heaven, someone let Alex draw Plastic Man. And it happened, and I'm teary-eyed.
Excellent. That's awesome.
So good. So I hope people understand what I'm saying. Like most events are like big and loud and crashing. You know, this one is sinister.
Okay.
So this one's about the shadows.
Sure.
And I thought people would really appreciate like a different kind of flavor in the summer. You know?
Well, and again, there's
smart people trying to figure out something.
That's what I was going to say. Absolutely. Let's lean into the detectives, that there are so many great ones in the DC universe that you could put together and have a very interesting thing. I mean, you and I love Detective 400 that featured Slam Bradley and Batman and Sherlock Holmes.
Yep.
Great Alan Davis, Mike Barr story.
Like that.
What's that?
I looked it up. There's been a few like gathering of the detectives over the years that made me feel, but nothing exactly like this that made me feel very emboldened to really, and also made me want to do it. Like, oh yeah.
All right, let's take a quick break from the Bendis tapes and tell you a bit about one of our sponsors today, Aftershock Comics. They are shaking things up in 2019. They're calling it the year of reading dangerously, and there's a reason why. They've got great graphic novels and comics that are sending shockwaves throughout your local comic shop with groundbreaking series like Garth Ennis and Goran Sudzuka's A Walk Through Hell. There's Animosity by Marguerite Bennett and Raphael de la Tour. And new reads like Oberon from Ryan Parrott and Mike Slakovic. There's also Stronghold from Phil Hester and Ryan Kelly. Dark Red from Tim Seeley and Corin Howell, that just came out last week. And a new graphic novel featuring great war comics from Garth Ennis and Keith Burns, Out of the Blue, Volume 1. 72 pages of gripping action, adventure, and aerial combat presented in full color on the finest paper stock and in the popular oversized European hardcover format. So lots of great books on the way and currently available at Aftershock Comics. Some of your favorite artists and writers are there making really interesting books. Check it out. You can find full story descriptions, preview art, and the diamond code to order these books through your local comic shop at aftershockcomics.com.
Coming up in Action Comics, Superman goes undercover as an agent of Spiral. You find out that Lois and Clark had an undercover alter egos for a spy story they were working on, and Clark has a character named Chaz Donin that he plays, and Chaz Donin looks exactly like Bradley Cooper in American Hustle, and I sent you this art, correct?
Yes.
So like, I've been when I remember I send John things that I think will cheer him up. And I damn well knew a picture of Superman looking like Bradley Cooper in American Hustle would cheer you up, and it did. And so that's coming. And I know I've said a lot of crazy things on this podcast, but I don't think anything's more important than what I just said, that Superman can turn into Bradley Cooper.
Well, I told you, one of the very first comics I bought with my own money, it was an issue of either Action or Superman. I don't remember which. But it was about Superman's other secret identity, and it was Chris Delbart, the Wolf of Wall Street.
Yes, and and this is why I was bringing it up. Thank you. I got off track. So, internally, there was a little argument about whether Superman had this power or not, or whether or not he needed something to make this happen, right? So there was a lot of argument about it, and so we ended up with it's a Kryptonian piece of tech that lets him be Chaz, because there was certainly a lot of background for that, right? Okay. First we were gonna maybe a kryptonite, but that we want to save that button for another time. Okay. But a little piece of Kryptonian spy tech certainly would get the job done.
Interesting.
Right? So, but I still in my heart I wanted to him just I originally at the retreat I had pitched it to the room where Superman just goes and a beard grows like the dad in Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, and
he's either gonna shit his pants.
He got a huge reaction in the room, and also that he can
Kick up his hair.
Squeeze real hard and curl his hair.
I was going to say kick up his hair.
Yeah, and perm his hair. I think that's important.
Like 2010 Sam Humphries. Go on. I said that.
So I no, Bradley Cooper in American Hustle.
Okay,
I cannot be more specific in my reference. So anyway, it was very funny what a big reaction that got in a room full of my award-winning peers when I stood up and I said literally that I was going to do this. It was the best reaction I got of anything I said. So I'm excited for it to come out.
Well, back in the 30s, he did have the ability to manipulate his face. I'm pretty certain.
My point is that you had given me the evidence I needed to,
no shit.
to state
For
the
real?
case, but it was the day after I had lost.
See?
I couldn't get. You had the missing piece of reference to win my case.
See, Brian, you got.
It was like an episode of The Good Fight.
Streaming now on CBS All Access.
Thank you.
I want to hear what Alyssa thinks of Star Trek Discovery lately. Anyway, but anyway,
and it's so funny because she was actually in here napping. She passed out watching iZombie, okay. and I said I'm going to call John, but stay in here in case you want to yell something. And she would have totally done the half hour.
Oh God, seriously, man! The next time I see her, I totally want to know what she thinks because oh good Lord, we could totally do a podcast.
And I got to say, and a lot of us feel this. It sucks when they announce that cast members are leaving in the press before. And they just did it to the Star Trek fans.
Yeah, Christopher Pike.
And I'm not going to say who it was, but 2 major exoduses are happening.
Oh, there's somebody else.
I know Walking Dead, this happens all the time. Where you're like, I guess they died. You find out they got cast in another show.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I guess, yeah. So.
I know about Christopher Pike. I don't know about the other guy or woman.
Yeah, there's another one.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah. So
Well, I kind of.
But it's a pretty good show. I got to say, I've been watching it too.
We'll talk because honestly, man, I want it to be good.
Do you not like it?
I think the writing is horrible. I think the writing is piss poor. I think they have diminished Spock without spoiling anything to build up Michael Burnham. I think the relationship is completely forced. I don't believe it. I don't like young Spock. I don't think it's consistent.
I wish Elisa was awake.
I don't think it's consistent with the character. I really don't. I'm sorry. And that's the thing, man. You go back to the Filmation, all right, real fast tangent, of the animated Star Trek series. You had that one episode yesteryear. And I know technically it's not canon. But I just think I don't believe young adult Spock would have the same internal conflicts that child Spock could have had as a kid. That's plausible. I don't like I feel like I'm spoiling learning disability they gave Spock. I think is cheap.
Yeah.
And again, I think they have diminished Spock to build up Burnham. And also, she really is, as some of the people are angry, she really is the superwoman of that show. She solves everything. And she does in my opinion. And also, she she's never afraid to get in the captain's face in a way that I've never seen it happen on any other Star Trek show. And I keep pointing to Voyager, where there were absolutely strong women on Voyager. And it was never at the expense of male characters. And I kind of feel like that's a subconscious subtext. And it's I'm cool with an all-women. I'm totally cool with women-led shows, and I like the idea of a lot of these characters, but I don't like the writing execution. I don't believe Michelle Yeoh's Mirror Universe character would get the license to run rampant in the in the Prime Universe. I'm like, that's bullshit. I'm sorry, they're not that stupid in Star Trek.
Do you have DC Universe online?
I do.
And
yes, because I did want to talk about.
This is not a commercial. I literally just got it, and I've only seen the pilot to Doom Patrol.
Oh my God.
And I can't stop thinking about it.
Oh my God, it's amazing. I've watched the first 3. I am delighted by the cast. The casting is ridiculously on point. God, that woman from
it's and by the way, for people who have seen it and people check it out, I promise you, I'm not. This is not a paid advertisement. I know it's hard to tell.
I'll advocate it. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, this is a really unique TV show, and we were 40 minutes in, and me and my wife were like, "Wow, this is really shooting for the fences."
Absolutely,
right?
Yes.
So so. I haven't watched more episodes, so I'm 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 effusive in my wow. I like the first episode, but I haven't seen anything else yet. So
well, I think you'll be very happy. I love again.
But it gets better because that's always my. Did they make a great piece of film, but it wasn't a good?
It
pilot.
continues in
It
continues in the right direction, and I just love the combination of the classic Silver Age Doom Patrol and the Grant Morrison stuff of the '90s, and it works. And it's again the casting is perfect, and Jesus Christ, Timothy Dalton, Jesus, holy shit, holy shit. I mean, it's great.
I'm so glad you. I'm literally so glad you agree and have seen this. I did not. I thought I'm just going to throw this out there for the people who have seen it. But yeah, I was, and also I was really excited when I opened up DC Online and saw what was on.
Yeah, no,
it's pretty.
Oh
cool.
My God! I mean,
I hope Marvel. I hope Marvel does the same.
I completely agree, and hopefully, when the Disney streaming is up and running, that we will see stuff like that. No, I mean...
Yeah, I'm assuming it's going to be something like that.
Yeah, probably.
Cool.
But, oh my God, the cheese that's on DC Universe, in a great way, like those terrible... The superhero roast from the 70s and the...
Yeah, see, I don't think those are terrible.
Oh my God, dude, of course we do.
And when I saw them, my heart went, oh, it's everything. I just appreciated... that they did it just to say, oh, no, it's everything.
It is everything. And I mean, I keep meaning to post on Instagram. I took a screen cap. One of the DC Nation little interstitial 90-second cartoons, Art and Franco wrote a bunch of them. Cool. There's one where it's Crypto and Streaky. And Crypto's totally like hyper little dog, and Streaky's like totally sleeping, could care less cat. And he's like, hey, let's have a contest. Let's see who can save the most people real fast. And at one point, he saves a boat with 3 guys that are overboard, and it's me, Art Baltazar, and our friend Jimmy the Muscle that our nickname for him. And it's awesome. And literally, it's like, no, that's Art. No, that's me. No, that's Jimmy. And it's great. And it's us with Crypto. It's fantastic. So there's my little cameo in the DC universe, if you will. So, but again, forget about me. No, the roast is great, and the terrible. Oh my God, Ed McMahon hosting the roast. Jeff Altman is the weather wizard. Are you kidding me?
No, you know what's great about it, honestly, is that sometimes, like, there are things I remember that I go, did that happen, or did I imagine that? And Jeff Altman as a weather wizard is definitely one of those things that I needed to see again to prove that it happened.
Hell yeah, I forgot about it until I saw that, and I'm like, oh my God!
It's. I'm sure that's what Netflix feels like to kids today. But there was stuff that showed up on TV to us with no warning that was just the weirdest thing, and then it would be gone forever.
Yes.
And you'd be like, what happened?
Yes.
And like 20 million people saw it.
Right. No.
So like the Star Wars special, perfect example. There was a lot of things like the Star Wars special that came and went in our lives. And then you're like sitting with your friends thinking about, hey, do you guys remember there was a superhero roast with the Justice League? And then you're like, yeah.
Well, and also
YouTube has been great for that, but there's still a lot of buried stuff.
Oh, no question. And another good DC Universe lost gem is that Spirit movie from the 80s that was on ABC.
Yeah.
I love that movie. Yeah. I think that's a great. I got to be honest. I think it was better than Frank's movie, frankly. I said it. But no, it's terrific, and it is.
Way to go on the edge.
Yeah, I know. Poor Frank. That's all right. Sin City movies are still. I like the second Sin City movie. I'll stand by that. It was fine, I thought. Well, anyway, no, DC Universe is great. I bought it for Titans because I wanted to see it. I'm like, all right, fine. Let me see it. And then Young Justice. Young Justice has been great. Great cartoon.
Yeah. No, I bought it for Young Justice.
Sure.
And I got sucked into Doom Patrol.
Yeah, and oh my God. Yeah, well, that's the thing. And even the backdoor pilot for Doom Patrol that they did on Titans, I'm like, oh my God, this is great. And I was going to say, Elastigirl, Rita, is played by the actor, and I can't remember her name, but she's Candy in 2.5 Men, one of the, like, a young hottie that John Cryer gets and everything for a while. And she's a very funny character on 2.5 Men. And it's a 180 in Doom Patrol, and she's perfect. She's absolutely perfect as Rita. And it's like, oh.
Yeah, I'm so excited you saw this. I'm stunned that you saw
Oh
this.
no, I'm a huge
So yeah, check it out, everybody. Yeah, good.
yes, long time
Good.
Doom Patrol fan, especially the classic stuff, and they nail it. They absolutely. If you're a Grant
Yeah.
Morrison Doom Patrol fan, if you're a current Doom Patrol fan, if you're an old Doom Patrol fan, you'll be very very happy.
It's probably like one of my favorite things about like our media culture is that you literally have no idea where the crazy good shit's going to come from. It could literally come from it.
Absolutely, man. Now I haven't seen Umbrella Academy yet. I'm hearing great things. But
I haven't either, but I was about to say something I'm not allowed to say, so I'm going to stop.
all right, fair enough.
I'll tell you off the
All
air.
right, fair enough.
It was something about a media company. It wasn't DC that someone told me about that I was in.
Okay.
Never mind.
No, and
Let's talk. You know what we haven't talked about that I saved for you
Talk to me.
is that I haven't talked about the Oscars.
yes, I wanted to absolutely.
Spider-Verse.
I wanted to get into Spiderverse. So yes, what a film! And truly, from the Golden Globes to the Oscar night, it's been wonderful to see the reaction and especially the hardcore people were all like, this probably is the best Spider-Man movie ever, and it really is. It really, really is.
I am so happy to have my name on something that legit inspires people to go make stuff. That's always like that's like we wrote What's Your Pictures and all that. Like you want people to like read your stuff and then go make their own stuff. And every one of us has had little tastes of this over the years, but there's every once in a while a movie comes along that it in itself inspires a lot of creativity. The Matrix was a movie like
Absolutely.
that. The Matrix got a lot of people drawing,
Yes.
right? And it seems that Spider-Verse, of which I'm not taking credit for that the overall thing of Spider-Verse has gotten a lot of people drawing and representing themselves in their art. And and of all the things that you wish and hope for in this world, to actually get to see that happen in real time, like to actually I don't think you guys can go to my mentions right now. I get all over the world now people watching it at home. Now it's at home, so people are watching it constantly. It's now my life is, I should have seen this in the theater. I'm like, I told you. So
yeah,
listen, I'm off the hook on that one. We made it pretty clear. So, but it's super awesome. Also, the other funny thing about it is other comic book people will relate to this deeply, and you have this as well. We have jobs that people don't fully understand, and nor should they have to, and that's fine, right? We don't do anything that saves anyone's lives. So it's what do you do? What comic books? It's very strange what I do for a living, right? This movie winning the Oscar does not help that confusion on any level.
Why?
It is very funny. The people coming up to me and not sure if they are like, if I'm happy about this. Of course I'm happy. It's very funny.
I understand. Sure. So, I don't know if you got screwed or
very, very,
yeah. Well, and also,
and I just I'm just a fan of like the way humans interact with each other. So anything new that gets added to my life that makes people react or say different shit to me makes me just completely delighted. And this was it. So on top of it being what it is, my kids were just at that age, all at different ages, where they all figured out what I do for a living, wrapped around this movie because they got to hear it from other people. Because I don't like come to my kids all day and tell them what I'm working on. You know what I mean? Like if they come up and go, "Hey, what are you working on?" I go, we talk about it. But there's so much stuff here. There's so many superheroes. I don't want them to get sick of it or feel like, what I mean? So and also so this movie was, they were really able to figure out what Daddy did. It was really cool. So thank you to everyone who told my kids nice things about me. That was it's very, very sweet. Like my kids were hearing a lot of stuff. So we decided to stay home and do the night with friends. It was very weird that
Night?
Yeah, when people are like, it's a done deal. It's not a done deal.
Sure.
It was weird. Yeah, it was very strange. It went from, it was all those surreal things. So We stayed home, and me and Matt and Kelly and the wife and the kids, and we all chilled out and watched it together. And it was the right thing to do. We were supposed to go down to like the weird parties. And when I say weird parties, I mean, I'm a weirdo who can't enjoy parties. So I decided to stay home instead.
So you were invited to some of the LA affairs that were going?
Yeah, it was very nice. I said to my wife, we got invited to some really primo cool shit. And it was and Sony has been really amazing, top to bottom. And I feel like the obligation to say that because on this podcast, even for years and decades, you hear all these horror stories about Hollywood screwed over this creator, Hollywood screwed over that creator. And, there was a lot of blood was spilled. But over the last few years, they're kind of really figuring it out. And Sony treated us great on Spiderverse. And, the way they were treating Kelly on Captain Marvel is really, really exceptional. And I really hope it's the way it is from now on. It really should be no other way. I felt empowered. I felt part of it. It was wonderful, and it felt like real collaboration as opposed to something I did got like poached by someone. It felt like I felt appreciated, and I just wanted people to know that because you hear so many horror stories, and they are horror stories, but I think people are figuring it out, and I'm so happy to report that. So this warmness that you felt about the movie, it was happening doubly behind the scenes.
So Sony did involve you in some capacity with, I know you've got the credit on the film and everything. What was your participation?
Well, yeah, no, I'll tell you, they hired me to be a consultant, and I've been on the payroll for a couple of years for the movie, which is at their discretion. They call me for whatever. And I got to see the cuts and give notes. And I was so happy that the note I was most proud of, I got credit for on the commentary on the DVD. Which I honestly was the most proud of, and I was anyway. And it was about Kingpin. There was a draft where Kingpin, his motivation wasn't the one you and I would be used to from reading the comics, and he was mustache twirling, which every draft goes through a mustache twirling draft, right? And then you got to get to what does the villain want? Why now? And for Kingpin, it's very easy. It's actually his wife. He wants something very, very obviously. So I was able to point them in that direction. Now they took it all the way to the Daredevil Love and War graphic novel. That's their boom. So I was doubly chuffed that my suggestion then got them to a Valentine to Bill Sienkiewicz, who is someone I dearly love, who has also just, so then I found out on top of all this stuff that a lot of my friends got hired throughout the years on this project. Like Jim Nafu got hired to do a lot of design work.
I had no idea. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I didn't know either. And he came over, he gave me one of them as a Hanukkah present. And I was like, what's this? He goes, oh, this is one of my Spider-Verse. I was like, oh.
Wow.
And it just makes me happy that so many of my friends got a gig out of it.
Absolutely.
So on top of everything else. So I was on the payroll, but I was working on my stuff, and and also I was like, ooh, I'm leaving. I wonder how that will affect everything.
Absolutely.
Because I had to say I will no longer be at Marvel. It's not a problem if it's not a problem for you, right? And it wasn't a problem for them. So we just kept going on, and the movie kept getting better and better. The one thing sometimes when you see early cuts and they have some real magic in them, it can be a little heartbreaking while you watch some of the magic get sucked out, and you're trying to see, oh no, don't suck up. You want it to stay special, right? And in this instance, they kept adding more. It kept getting more and more special to the point where I was like, ooh, are they going to really go for this? And that's the movie you saw. And I've witnessed to both, and with Miles, I just please don't suck. Please, it was like it's like Jones.
Yes,
just don't suck. Just, he doesn't have to win an Oscar. Just don't suck.
I understand. No, and that's what I wondered about the difference between the Netflix Jessica Jones experience and Miles with this movie.
It was almost exact, honestly. Other than I had a history with Jeff and Joe and everything, and I didn't really know anybody. Other than I was a legitimately big fan of Lord and Miller before they took the project. Cool. Like I was a fan of Cologne High School. I like. Like if they made comics, I would buy their comics. Like, and there's a world where they would be making comics. Is what Spiderverse does. So I was just happy that it was in their hands and to watch their process.
So wait, they were the guys behind MTV's Clone High?
Weren't they?
I had no idea. No, I'm taking your word for it. Holy shit. Because that truly is like the one MTV thing that I don't, much like the state, it's like, why isn't this on DVD? It was so amazing.
Yes, I'm right. It was Lord and Miller.
Wow.
I just had an old man moment where I go, I'm pretty sure I got my Clone High stuff right. Yeah, I've been a big fan of their show.
Oh, my God, yeah. Absolutely.
And I like people they do is a little better or way better than it should be on paper. 21 Jump Street being the perfect example. People forget that movie was not supposed to be good, and it was great. And by the way, and by the way, the Oscars are over. The movie's out on DVD. I'm not kissing ass here. I'm a big fan, and and recently watched the Lego Batman movie, which was theirs as well. And they were pushing for a lot of the buttons they were pushing on Spiderverse. They were pushing on Lego. They were pushing pretty hard to make Lego Batman as introspective and special. So they've been pushing hard on almost everything.
That's awesome, man. No, that's terrific.
Yeah. So on that note, I'm just so happy they were rewarded for it for something, and great. Let it be. What was the
holy shit experience that you had involving Spider-Verse? Did you have any great oh my God moment?
Well, they're weird ones because it's watching that first cut and watching all that, it's that first reaction everyone has to Miles and his family. Well, yeah, that means a lot to people, and it should. And I don't think it's hard to imagine that means way more to me. You know what I mean? Please don't take that out of it. And so seeing that they not only didn't take it out, but they added a better version or more of their truth to it was pretty magical to me. And I got a little emotional when I saw it. And then I didn't. This is be hard to describe to people. There's no contractual obligation for them to give me an executive producer credit in the movie. That was a gift.
Oh wow!
There's nothing in writing that says they owe me that or they have to do it. They decided to do it and surprised me with it. So it's funny because my friends, my peers who know how special that is and how, wow, I'm sharing a card with Stan Lee, knowing that I, as a film nerd, would take that as seriously as Orson Welles sharing his credit with his cinematographer, right? That I would take that very seriously, that they put that together. And they tried to surprise it with me at the premiere, and I couldn't make it to the premiere, and I blew it. But then I heard about it, and then I was immediately ashamed of myself. But I was being a dad. I was making good choices, but I did miss the moment that they were trying to give me. But it did happen because it flattened me. It did. It was about as nice a thing for all the pie you take to the face in Hollywood, and we know there's a lot of pie, right? You almost go. And it was almost worth it. Also, not to keep bringing this up, and I'm sorry, but you and I have been sick, and we're talking about this before we got on the air. But I would have missed all of this.
Yeah.
I was told I wasn't leaving the hospital. Wow. I was flat out said, wrap it up.
Wow.
So all of these things that happen, you just go, wow, I would have missed that.
Yeah.
Wow. Jesus. And there was a lot of stuff. Yeah. And it's not just about the movie. I'm talking about my kids.
Sure,
you know what I mean?
But
I got to sit with my kids and cheer that Miles won an Oscar, and my daughter memorizing Sunflower, and then just being a part of their identity, having nothing to do with me. Is pretty great. So it's been a bunch of stuff. I don't mean to over talk about it all, but it was a lot, and it was cool. It was overwhelming, and it was this list of things that I wanted that I never even told anyone I wanted. Like, who doesn't want to see their character on a Campbell soup can? Miles was on a Campbell soup can. I love the Campbell's soup can more than anything else in this house. I love it. I'm so happy about the It was the Campbell's soup can, the Nike shoes. There was a trifecta of three things that Miles got that I went, oh, all right, that's it. That's the trifecta. And it was Miles has a Miles Morales Hot Wheels car, not a Spider-Man car, a Miles car.
Wow.
A Miles can of soup and Miles Nike shoes.
Sure, man. The cultural touchstones. Absolutely, man. Good Lord.
And I didn't know I wanted them, and I have them, and I would have missed all of it. And I'm thrilled that I did.
That's a good point. Jesus Christ. Wow.
Yeah, I know.
And that's the thing, man. The whole project got so much bigger and much bigger than what we were all expecting. We were expecting a decent cartoon movie of Miles, and we were certainly rooting for one and hoping for one. And this is a different kind of.
No, and also I wasn't sure where it fit into the old corporate menagerie that Spider-Man's involved in.
Absolutely.
There's Sony and Disney and like there's I didn't know where it all fit in. I didn't know where I fit in. There was a lot going on around it, and I wasn't sure what was going to happen. But I did say that because I had seen the movie and I knew it was good, and I said if it's a hit and all that, it would be cool to be at DC and watch Miles be a hit over there. That's a nice way to end. That's a nice wrap it up.
Yeah.
Right.
Mic drop.
Nice exclamation points on the whole thing. It's my exclamation point. Yeah. So that's the way it worked out. Now the exclamation point I didn't see coming, which I'm very so romantically in love with, and I think I'm the only one, but I will express this. Is that and we may have discussed this. We may be able to go back to a word balloon where I talked about it while it was happening live. But many years ago, when Matt and Kelly moved to Portland, they actually moved into our house for a while their situation was getting set up. Other families have done it. I'm sure other people know people, but you're basically rooming together as full families for a few weeks. It was a great time. Our kids are all the same age. They love each other. They're still best friends, all that. But what was interesting, what I flashed back to, was I was working on the first Miles stuff. At the exact same time, Kelly Sue was working on the first Captain Marvel stuff. I'm talking about like her issues of Avenging Spider-Man with Captain Marvel and like looking at the first Dexter Soy pages. I remember her printing them up in my printer and us looking at them over the print. And so to have the miracle that there's a Miles movie that's done all of this, the 50 miracles that is Spider-Verse, just winding down just as the miracle of Captain Marvel hits the screens, and knowing that they were basically crafted at the same table is fascinating to me, who likes stories like this that don't involve me.
I understand.
Like when you hear like, oh my God, the writer's room and the show of shows was this,
Yes.
So I love stories like that. And I like that 200 years from now, some nerd's going to write a one-act play of what they thought it was like at our table.
That's hilarious. Absolutely. Yes.
How's that for you?
No, but no, I'm
going to do the Steve Martin play about Picasso and Einstein, but with me.
Well, or even Crystal Skillman and not at all. Crystal Skillman and Fred Van Lente creating their play King Kirby, kind of looking at Jack's creative process and everything. And as you said, the show of shows example. But no, man, Siegel and Schuster, when Walt Disney is creating Mortimer Mouse and everything. And on his last, pennies.
I just thought the magic of them both being movies at the same time and both being about as good as they could be by other people.
Man. No, and unfortunately, again, the injury has kept me from seeing Captain Marvel right away. But I know everyone's raving, and I'm glad. I'm really happy about it.
It was so fun. I have a video I posted online because we saw the commercial, and my 6-year-old son, who is Kelly Sue's biggest fan. Sorry, Kelly Sue's biggest fan. My son beat you. Saw the commercial and just threw his fist in the air and yelled, "Kelly Sue is coming to save us." And I accidentally recorded it. I thought I had pushed stop on a recording, And I texted Kelly Sue and said, "You're never going to believe me, but London just threw his fist in the air and wrote, 'Kelly Sue's coming to save us.'" And I could tell as a friend, she did believe me, but kind of didn't. So, and then I was so like an hour later, I'm looking at my phone, like, "Oh my God, I recorded it." And I sent it to her. It was
That's
exciting.
fantastic.
My point is that it's just for our kids to experience all of this with us.
Yeah, absolutely. No, man, this is, hey, good victory laps. I'm proud of both of you, and I'm thrilled that other people found your work, understood what made it great, and like you said, they were able to add their own voices to it and make something else that is equally great. So that's wonderful.
And then we were at dinner with Dan DiDio a couple of weeks ago, and just thought that was funny too. Like if you would imagine like 8 years ago, sitting at the table, like we're gonna be at the dinner, but we're gonna be at the dinner with Dan DiDio talking about a big DC secret, right? While our movies are in the theater. Everything about it is nuts. And I want to make it very clear how much I'm not bragging. It is surreal to me. It may not feel that way to others. It is beyond surreal. I didn't make the movie so I can enjoy it with you. Does that make sense? Like my name's on it, but I didn't make that movie. I hear you, man. So I can fully enjoy it with a lack of stress that doesn't come when I make a comic. I sell it to you and I say nice things, but all I can see are the mistakes.
I hear you, man. Yeah.
Where with this one, I can just enjoy it, and it's a beautiful thing.
Well, and again, that appreciation of other creators taking your creation and pushing it further and everything. I mean, that's the ultimate compliment in comics, I think. And yeah, that's wonderful. And absolutely, man. No, it's great.
Well, and I also, you asked for like these little moments that were funny. So after the Golden Globes, and again, there's like an etiquette that I don't know what the etiquette for any of this is. Like, should I buy Phil Lord a car? And this is what is the appropriate gift for this, right? For all of my dreams coming true. What do you?
Yeah. How do you acknowledge it?
It's nuts. So I wrote Rodney Rothman, who wrote the movie. They all wrote the movie, but the writer, and I wrote him a very personal email congratulating him, but expressing some of the stuff I've expressed in this podcast, but some of the stuff that's a little darker about like how I wasn't supposed to see any of this and what a truly great experience this is for me, right? And thank you. He then wrote back a letter that was so much better than my letter that I wanted to post them both online and say, this is why he should win the Oscar. Because look at the quality of craft he is capable of. It was unbelievable. Yeah, he's
that's
amazing.
Awesome, man.
So, all right, I'll stop. I feel like
no, honestly, I'm not cutting any of this. Sorry, because honestly, I think
it was a once in a lifetime experience. I almost fucking missed it, and it went all the way. And it was and by the way, everyone online was enjoying it along with us, and that was really fucking special. It was really amazing, and a special shout out to the earliest Miles fans, of which I heard a lot from over the last couple months. The first people to make their Miles costumes themselves, and they did an amazing job. I really hope they know how much they got this movie greenlit. It's really hard to describe how deep, like, positive passion can drive a Hollywood decision like this. You know, it really got it made, and I was able to tell some of them, hey, you're part responsible for this. And I don't know, it's just been great to share it with everybody.
I can totally appreciate that. And again, that was the thing for a long time. I think the idea of a Miles animated movie was almost a consolation prize when they were doing the Andrew Garfield movies, and it was, why another Peter Parker? Why not Miles? Donnell, and now I'm blanking, Atlanta. Young, current.
No, I know what you're going to do. But no, what was funny, what me and Kelly were laughing at dinner because we caught some tweet. Someone tweeted, well, Brian and Kelly didn't take the shit that creators have to take today.
What?
When we were creating Miles and okay. We didn't take listen. I'll take my lumps, but don't erase my lumps. I took some real lumps. I took some I was on the front page of Nazi newspaper lumps.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know.
No, I understand, man.
I was on the front page of the Daily Stormer. I was on Glenn Beck getting the shit on me on Glenn Beck because of this. I'm not going to
Drudge Report, as I recall.
Yeah.
No, I remember. Yeah. Absolutely. And the same, hey, man, it wasn't shit, but I really wanted to know. I appreciate what Kelly Sue was doing with Captain Marvel, but I was one of those Ms. Marvel fans that it's like, I got to be honest, am I an asshole? I like the bombshell. And I loved her explanation. And truly, I'm like, you're right. And she goes, well, let's say there's a superhero funeral out there. And everybody's there looking solemn, looking towards the ground. Cap's in his uniform, Iron Man's in his uniform. And there's Ms. Marvel in her onesie and thigh-high boots trying to look reverent. And I get it. You're right. You're right. It is.
It's even happened to me at shows where people are wearing awesome outfits and you just look at you just think about the reality of it in action.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like.
No, and hey, man, like
even Miss Marvel's sash. I told Kelly I always had a problem with the sash. Like it's definitely going to get grabbed. Someone's going to pull the sash. True. And also, I just would get how long does it take her to tie that?
Accessorizing.
Because it would take me at least 45 minutes to get that sash.
Nope, that's not right. I understand. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do again. I always feel like weird about like bragging, but it was unique, and in my opinion, we all shared it.
Sure.
You know, like I was home watching it with everybody else. It was we shared it together.
That's excellent.
And we were all rooting for what to happen. And for those early Miles fans, just know it's all day long. We're young people from all over the world, from walks of life, who never even saw anything that resembled anything that looked like them on screen, going out of the way to find me, to reach out to me to tell me about it, which I think means you were doing some Google work. You know what I mean? So it's been a beautiful. We live in a world with a lot of people screaming a lot of hatey shit at each other, but behind the scenes, man, I'm telling you, this movie has been nothing but a hug, from top to bottom. Not one negative thing. Unbelievable.
Attaboy.
So just wanted to share that. Sorry, I know it's boring.
No. And again, I mean, this is I think older readers. I think older readers understand that it is enlightening in a bottle. That, oh my God, and of course everything turns out magic for you, and has been on the journey not only with you, but again with the idea of like comics getting more legitimacy in pop culture. And this is, like I started to say, much like Deadpool in a different way. This is a game changer and a step forward, and again shows why there isn't an oversaturation point yet for the superhero genre, because there are still inventive ideas that haven't happened yet. And this was another one that no one was expecting. No one was expecting this kind of movie.
Yeah, I think that's why I brought it up, because of Doom Patrol, because I think we all love that. Like The Matrix, no one expected it. If people remember, I know it's an old movie.
That's true.
But it's so rare when a movie comes out that no one saw coming, because usually the hype train grabs you on some level, right? But it's well,
and repeating
great, and I just want to thank everybody.
I hear you, man.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Just and there's so many fans making sure that I see everything, because so much weird stuff goes on all over the world, like this guy's making a Miles face out of Rubik's Cubes, and like there's all kinds of crazy stuff, and people constantly making sure that I see it. And thank you, because I don't always see it until a fan sends it to me. So
that's awesome. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to go back to Jinxworld because we haven't talked about Pearl yet.
But by the way, Captain Marvel gets a big thumbs up from me. I really, really, really liked it, and the more I think about it, the more I liked it. And as much as I loved Brie, and I really did, and the whole Captain Marvel storyline, I think what I really took away from it was how impressive the reverse engineering of Nick Fury's character was in Captain Marvel. I know people are going to they show you how he lost his eye, and they show you like all that stuff, but he mapped his character, and you can see this is the beginning of the map. Mm-hmm. And then you see in the trailer for the new Spider-Man movie, he's in a different place on the map.
Sure.
And that is so rare to see in like mainstream cinema or this kind of storytelling. And it reminded me kind of The Shield in a way. But if The Shield was told backwards or something, it was just something about it really I loved. I also, because I've written the character for so long and I had written him in different parts of his life, that seeing it done so well, and also him diving so hard into the character 11 movies in was pretty exciting. So I'm excited to see the movie. The other funny thing was my daughter is susceptible to all horror movie stuff, and in the movie they have the Flurkin, which is the cat that's an alien for people who've seen the comic, and it does do the bit it does in the comic where it aliens up. My daughter, that's literally my daughter's worst nightmare, whatever that is, right? And I know, but she's 11. It was funny. The cat turns into a Flurkin, and she just goes, so great.
So that's Sabrina. That's fantastic. That's wonderful.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's my Captain Marvel review. Loved it.
Excellent, man. No, I'm looking forward to seeing it. And no, that's the uniqueness of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And again, I can't help but think as Captain Marvel succeeds, how amazing it is that Marvel's MCU has really succeeded in such a level and truly is the most successful movie studio out there. Marvel Studios in the film business, as Paramount struggles, as Star Trek IV gets shit on and Chinese investors pull out their Paramount money, for real. Stuff like that.
Oh, I laugh about the Chinese investors because about 4 years ago, every Hollywood meeting you would have, there would be some magical Chinese money just outside the door. And you're like, no, like I'm too much of a crime fiction writer to there's no magical. So, but I will tell you, and this is all anecdotal, really. But the meetings that I've been in over the last year or so, reflective off of Spiderverse and Captain Marvel and and Crazy Rich Asians and Black Panther, perfect example. There's nothing about Pearl that says we were interested in Hollywood's attention, right?
Yes.
I'm shocked how many offers we have.
Outstanding. That's great.
Yeah. You know what I mean? There's everything's different now. We're getting, again, I know we got a long way to go, but the idea that everyone gets to tell their story is now fully on the table.
That's excellent.
So
that's great, man.
We'll let the weasels be weasels, but those of us who know that this is going to happen.
That's great. Let's lean into Pearl because honestly, I was able again to catch up, and I love the different flavors of crime and espionage that you're exploring through Cover, through Scarlet, through United States of Crime, America, Incorporated, all of them, and including Pearl. And yeah, man, it's great. It's great to have you and Mike back, and I think you guys are a great team, and I enjoy those characters, and it's a great, interesting story with some great elements that I've always loved in film and television, and it's great to see him playing out in this comic.
What we're trying to do is this is the most purposely as I said before on Event Leviathan, trying to whatever the version of that I've seen before, I'm not going to ever do that. If I look at a scene and I go, I've seen this scene somewhere, you're not going to see it anymore. So for the Yakuza, in American fiction particularly, the best we had was Black Rain, and that's some coked up Ridley Scott, It's a very angry movie. It's just a very angry movie. And you know what else is an angry movie? It's fucking Rising Sun. And it's super racist to me.
I can appreciate that. What about, do you remember the Mitchum, Ken?
Yeah, no. That one's interesting.
I think it's really
interesting. Sidney Pollack movie. It's got its problems are more of its time. And you can't tell if it was a good reflection of its time or not. And Black Rain, you just go, oh, you're a better, I'm a big Ridley Scott fan, and I would like to see the man who made Matchstick Men try to make a Yakuza movie.
I hear you.
You know what I mean? So think about like I'm a big Philip Kaufman fan too, and Rising Sun is terrible.
I had no
right?
idea it was Philip Kaufman. Right stuff. Absolutely.
Really, really
Interesting. Yeah.
And so why I went down this road is I was actually looking into the world of tattoos. The idea is that like I work in a medium that isn't always beloved or understood by the culture that we are living in. It's sometimes flat out misunderstood. And I thought, here we are in Portland where all my friends are covered head to toe in tattoos. And I am not allowed to have one as a Jewish man. I have no tattoos, right? Because I was told I will forever be scarred and never go to heaven and see God. So thinking about all that stuff, I started doing my research into looking into just appreciating the artwork of tattoos, looking into appreciating artwork that I don't have any of yet. Right. So doing that, someone goes, "Oh, hey, her over there, her mom runs the Yakuza." I'm like, God damn it. Now I'm doing a Yakuza book because I really was wanting to do a book about art, but you can't, then point me down that direction. And then when I started hearing the stories that I was hearing in my research, I started going, hey, I haven't seen any of this, like the real human stuff, right? And all I see is like a lot of anger towards women, which there is. So you go, okay, if Yakuza is the most women-hating organization on the planet, then let's tell the story from a woman's point. You know what I mean? Let's immediately tell it from this point of view I've never seen it from. And let's immediately never show the 5 things you always see, was chopping off a finger, whatever the things, that we've seen before, right? So that's the road I went down. And then I'm sorry for this long thing, but it's a podcast.
No, this is what we want.
Then I was starting to think about who had done what I'm trying to do. And I accidentally came across Jonathan Demme's Married to the Mob, which is one of my favorite movies and one of yours. Sure. And if you really pull it apart, that movie, and any Jonathan Demme movie from the late 80s, Something Wild would be the other one. Those movies are really unique. Every single turn he could take as a storyteller, he went the opposite of the way you think he's going to go. Like, so if it was like Married to the Mob was like, if it was the same story as Goodfellas, they went to fast food. Everything was a different place or a different tone or a different, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I said that will be my mandate for Pearl is to always go the other, like go Married to the Mob for Pearl. And by doing so, I accidentally made a romantic book. I did not know that was coming. The characters fell madly in love with each other. And then I went, yeah, no one does romance anymore. Like, we're all scared of it or something. Like, it's not cool, right? These characters are in love. Let's go for it. Yeah.
No,
which is kind of happened in Marriage to the Mob.
Well, and again, that's true. And also, I like the differences between this and United States of Murder Incorporated. I mean, it's because they're
some of it.
Go ahead.
No, some of it also is Michael Gaydos, because on top of me saying everything I just said to you, I said to him, why don't we make it our goal not to do anything we've ever done in Jessica Jones? Not one thing. Like anything we do that says, oh, that looks like an angle from Jessica Jones, or that's like a scene that you would have seen in Jessica Jones. Nope. No, so just nothing. So he took it so much farther than I thought he was going to, that I get like almost like anxiety. I get so nervous. The pages make me like crazy nervous. He breaks apart the pages and pulls them back together. And on some issues, I have to rewrite from scratch because he's completely retold the story in a different way, and it's so exciting. Interesting. So I thought people would love to know that now that we're like in the second season of it. It is the most avant-garde collaboration I'm in the middle of right now, and that's including what I was doing with David Mack. Like with David, even though we were really pushing each other, we were pushing each other in an area I knew where we were going, and Michael and I am terrified of it almost all the time. I'm writing outside myself. I'm writing outside my strengths. I'm writing towards a truth that I know will reveal itself. And Michael is way in there, man. It's so great. Sorry to over-explain.
No, I truly I am pleased at how much I liked Pearl, and I'm not surprised again because I always love your crime comics. And like you said, when it's like, well, wait, I've got an imprint called Jinxworld where I do crime comics. And it's like, yeah, you do. And you're getting this great opportunity to tell all these different flavors of crime at the same time. Yeah. So is Pearl ongoing?
Pearl, I think we're going to do 12 on Pearl. Pearl was going to do 6. And then we were like in the middle of 3. And I'm like, I'm not done. All right. Like, I'm really not even close to done. And then Michael literally wrote me and goes, I don't know what the plans are, but if you want to do Pearl for the rest of our lives, I'm totally cool with it. So, which is a pretty great, because my number one worry was, like you can see from those first few issues, that's an insane amount
Absolutely,
of
my God. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So like I spend a lot of time with Pearl, and then I leave her and then go play with Superman.
And Mike's always got to drive.
He's just with Pearl all day. So I wanted to make sure that at the end of the 6 months, he wasn't completely burnt out. He's doing full multimedia, full color. By the way, all the Jinxworld books are in full multimedia, which is unusual for a line, right? And the one that isn't is by a married couple.
Mike and Taki. Yeah.
Mike and Taki. So, but Alex did all his work himself, and David and Zoo do all of it together in Pearl. So in cover. So it's all So that's pretty unique. Wild. But with that comes we got to take breaks. It's exhausting. Sure. So we took a month off between 6 and 7, and it felt like no time at all. And we're back in it. So we're going to do 12. I'm going to take a break at 12. We have an ending of the story at 12. And much like Cover, if we don't come back to Pearl, it's because we have something we want to do that's better than Pearl to us.
Understand.
Right? And at that moment, that's got to be something. But remember, I told you about my notebook of 50 ideas, and 4 of them had Michael's name on them.
Oh, that's great.
And he had a couple things for me as well. And I feel weird about it because, like, I honestly had the same reaction, like, oh my God, Pearl scared the hell out of me, and it's working. Isn't that the point of art? Let's keep going.
Sure.
Right? But at the same time, like, oh, good, we made art. Let's make another one. So it's the two things I'm wrestling with right now. I could completely change my mind in a few months. I'll let you know.
The audience.
Also, the it's our best-selling book.
Go on with your thought. Also, what?
But the amount of Hollywood attention to it, that she may find her way in the form that she's in on screen somewhere is pretty cool. Because I did not. I was actually like gleefully liking how we were planning things that that do not have anything on the checklist for Hollywood.
Yes.
You know. Because you see, we've talked about this before. You read a lot of comics, you go, all right, so this is your pitch. This is your pitch document to Hollywood. And there's nothing wrong with that. I get it. I like to keep the art pure. I know maybe I sound a little bit like a hypocrite because I've sold stuff to Hollywood that was a comic, but I know in my heart Jessica Jones was not meant to be anything but a comic book. Right? Obviously. And I did feel the same thing about Pearl. So if there's a lesson to be learned, young creators, do what you want to do. Don't worry about them.
Yeah, hell yes.
It happened again. It's been a lesson in my life over and over. I have been lucky enough where I've caught someone's attention in Hollywood, and you're like, great, but boy, that's a trap. You don't want to get sucked into it.
No, that's good to hear. And again, I always love when you and Gatos work together, and it's been that way since Alias. So,
I truthfully, all of the Jinxworld partnerships thrived this year, and they were all good to start with. You know, they were all my brothers, and I will never. The takeaway from all of it will be, oh my God, they all came with me. You know what I mean? It was so nice of them. They did not have to, and I'm so grateful.
No, and I know on our last conversation you told us that Didio really gave you the platform to make it happen, or what do you need? He asked you what you needed to facilitate all this. Yeah. And the great thing is, that they were all able to make time and join you in doing this.
Yeah, no, 100%. As I said last time we talked, I sat whatever I was going to do this year in comics was going to be a major return to creator-owned stuff. And I was happy that DC, that was the first thing out of their mouth. It was that they wanted to partner up on that. And so, and may I say, a year into it, now that the library is all out, Fortune and Glory shipping next week. Just got my copies
great.
in.
Fantastic.
On the best paper it's ever been on. But Torso and Fortune Glory and All the Powers are now all out on beautiful DC paper.
Wow.
Through Random DC. Yeah,
has Jinx come out yet, or Fire, or or Goldfish?
Yep, Jinx Fire. It's all out. We put them all out this year. We did put out a lot. I know some retailers were like, "This is a lot of material," but a lot of it had been out of print, and I almost died and wanted it all back in print.
No, I understand.
I'm going to keep hitting that button till I make everyone uncomfortable. So, nice. Oh, and by the way, now that you've been through your thing, it makes everyone uncomfortable. Never bring it up. Everyone hates it.
I know, man. I feel embarrassed to talk about it, and it's only when they ask, all right, what's going on? And I'm like, okay, this is it. And it'll be post-surgery that they're like, they won't care. And I'll know that it's like, yeah, but I'm really not fully recovered until next January. I mean, that's real. That's real. And it's okay. No. I'm not, I'm okay. I'm not bummed about it. I'm in a much better place than I was when I was in the hospital. Thank you for your support during that time. You were cracking me up.
Sending you free comics.
Sending me free comics, sending me a lot of other free stuff, and texting me.
Yeah, damn well. Good thing you read all these comics I sent you for free.
I'm telling you, man.
While you were sitting in your bed.
It's the truth, and also, again, because you're in a hospital, you never sleep.
If you had not read my comics because you were too busy hate watching Star Trek. We would have
I understand. It wasn't on yet. The season hadn't started yet. It was okay. But yeah. Oh God. No, I'm telling you, man, me and your wife are going to have a great talk about Star Trek Discovery sometime.
You know what? It's just, she grew up, her family used to watch Star Trek at the dinner table or something. Absolutely. It's like a deep part of her.
Me too.
It's very, very, like, her and her brother like it. Like, when Star Trek's on, it becomes reverent.
Dude, I get it, and I'm the same way. And I've got local friends in Chicago that feel that way, and I've got long distant friends. And I'm pleased to say Robert Meyer Burnett, who made Free Enterprise, that great Shatner movie with Eric McCormick from Will and Grace back in '99. It's the 20th anniversary of the movie.
Wow.
He's become a good friend. And I kind of agree with him in terms of our dissatisfaction. And honestly, I want good Star Trek, and I'm really happy for the people that love Discovery. That's not condescension. It's genuine. Awesome if you love it. I've got my problems with it, but that said, I'm always like, hey, they made a great episode. The Talos 4 episode with Pike was a damn good episode. There are things about it I didn't like, but really, and truly, the whole characterization of Captain Pike, I'm with them 100%. I think they've done a good job fleshing out Captain Pike.
I didn't see it. It's on here.
Man.
I can't even. My wife was watching it religiously, but I don't know.
I'd be interested. Well, and I don't know how deep you are on. I know you've had your moments, even writing Star Trek comics, of course, back in the day, as I remember. Absolutely, man.
Yes.
So no, I don't know where you are.
I'm a regular Rick Berman.
What's that?
I'm a regular Rick Berman.
And I'm psyched for the Deep Space Nine documentary coming out finally. I'm very interested to see that.
Yeah, I am too.
So actually. No, that's my favorite. That truly is my favorite of the spin-off series. Deep Space Nine's always been my favorite. And meeting Avery Brooks and being able to tell him that was like one of the greatest thrills of my life. I've met him. I met Takei. I met Nimoy. Trying to think of anybody else. No, that's it. Those are the Star Trek people. Oh well, and then of course I got to, when they announced Discovery at San Diego, I was in the press only room where it was Jerry Ryan, Brett Spiner, Worf, Michael Dorn, Shatner, and Quantum Leap, who I love. Shame on me.
I love all Star Trek creator appearances. We've talked about this years ago. Like, my favorite memories of conventions have been being at like Shatner events, watching Shatner be Shatner, because wow, does he live the planet? But like there was this one time at Toronto, that great
Fan
Toronto
Expo?
show at the end of August, Fan Expo. When the early odds they had a show, and I was there, and both William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy were the big guests,
Awesome.
right? And the guys that run the show are super cool, generous guys. And they came up to me and Jim Lee and said, "Hey, do you guys want to go to the like guest only Shatner and Nimoy panel? It's like for non-guests, it's like hundreds of dollars just to walk in the door.
Yes,
you know what I mean? It's like one of those kind of things. But if you guys want to go see it, you please, as a guest, we'd love for you to go." And we're like, yeah. So we're in there, and it was like the beginning of the Muppet movie. It was like bedlam. It was like people all like it was crazy.
Yeah.
And Shatner and Nimoy walked out, and it was nothing but applause for about 20 minutes, and then milking the applause for 20 minutes. And then Shatner did like 10 minutes about how his shirt was unironed and that he was going to iron his shirt because for years, Nimoy's shirts always looked great. He looks like crap. And he had to go find an iron. And the audience was eating it up. I mean, just they were eating it up. And I think Jim turned to me and showed me his watch. And they had about 10 minutes of panel left and had gotten to nothing. And by the way, no one was displeased with the experience. But nothing of content was said, right? And it was at this moment, I'll never forget this, a guy, and I promise you on my children, with tape on his glasses in between the two, like you don't see anymore, stood up and said, "Excuse me," like a Ben Stiller character, "Excuse me, Mr. Shatner, episode 36 with the salt sucker," right? And as soon as he said the words episode 36 with his finger pointing in the air, the audience burst out into a roar of applause and laughter because someone was going to ask him a question he didn't know the answer to. So happy were they that they laughed this guy back down to his seat and the question was never answered. And then the panel was over. Of course, after William Shatner lectured us about horses for 10 minutes. But it was the most brilliant performance I'd ever seen. And then I think I turned to Jim. I said, I realized at the moment they had invented these panels that we've been doing our whole lives.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yes, absolutely.
This other thing that we do panels, like it didn't exist before.
Right. They are the modern. They are the forefathers of the modern convention. Yes, there was Phil Suling shows in the 60s and Chalk Talks and Flo Steinberg shocking everyone by being there and answering questions. But no, you're right. You're right.
And I felt that I had watched William Shatner get up there and do an advanced version of it that was like some like Miles Davis playing some like he's playing on such a high level that we don't even know what he's doing, right? Yeah, that's what I and the other great moment that was there was like they asked another question and this person was really close to us, and it was a very hard, attractive woman who was wearing a big metal bikini that had giant metal dragon wings coming off the back of it. That's why I remember her. You do not forget this person. And then she raised her hand, and because she was showing a lot of skin, Leonard Nimoy pointed at her and said, "Oh, do you have a question?" And she goes, I forget exactly what she said, but she says, "I am Ramthar I am the sworn enemy of the Vulcan, and I am here to destroy you on the blood oath of my father." And then there was dead silence, and Shatner goes, "Well, you asked her," and that was it. That was the greatest panel I'd ever been to. That's hilarious,
man. No, they're amazing. And I got to introduce Nimoy for a solo panel once. And that's literally like, you're either going to moderate the panel or you're going to introduce it. It depends on what Mr. Nimoy wants. And I said, that's fine. I'm happy either way. And they're like, can you just introduce him? I said, sure. And man, I'm telling you, like, it was all like within a half hour. So I went over like, all right, I want to hit everything. So I'm like, we've loved his amazing photography. We've loved his direction. We've loved his acting. But of course, deep down, we'll always love him for being Mr. Spock, ladies and gentlemen, Leonard Nimoy. And he shook my hand. He's like, nicely done, son. And I'm like, okay, thank you. I mean, really, I was just like, wow. And he's so tall, and he looked great. And there's a clip of his panel because it was still early. Star Trek, the JJ movie hadn't finished, but he explained how JJ convinced him to do it, and being on Fringe, and being William Bell on Fringe and everything, and that great character. And so it was great, and yeah, we put it out there to kind of intrigue, and it's one of the obviously most viewed word balloon videos that I've ever put out there. But no, he was amazing. He was amazing, and again, no, I've Shatner solo. He was just in town. He's been touring with Wrath of Khan, and they show the whole movie, and then he does Q&A afterwards and tells stories. So,
I'm sure his rider is one for the.
There's I know King saw him in D.C. When he came with Wrath of Khan and everything. And yeah, I don't know I'm sure he'll be in Portland if he hasn't already.
I mean, I would literally only go to see what kind of horrible thing he says that makes the audience go, ugh.
And honestly, it's sad.
Some really, really, please stop talking stuff.
It's sad.
I'm sure I have it.
It's sad that he's kind of had his own revisionist history, because I know Nimoy was kind of pissed at him in his final year or two. And I read that My Friend Leonard book, and it's like, wow, man, you're kind of like leaving out the important part about how he was kind of pissed at you at the end and everything.
Well, Star Trek fans always have, and they don't know about the best Star Trek stuff that ever happened on the Howard Stern show. All of George Takei is a member of the cast, and for decades, the biggest fights between William Shatner and George Takei. I mean, let each other have it has been on Howard Stern, and it has all been riveting. They're both completely wrong.
Sure.
George and William Shatner are completely wrong, and it's great.
Have you seen that?
They're still fighting over George's ranking.
I understand. Absolutely. Well, and there's it's on YouTube. His Shatner's old interview show, Raw Nerve. And there's that one episode with Walter Koenig. And literally, like, one of the segments is, why does George hate me? And it's great. And it's funny. And he's like, no, you stood up at his wedding. Yes, I did. But, like, you're not his best friend. Sure. No. And it's just this awkward, weird kind of fact about George Takei. And I love the Takei documentary. And I'm thrilled with his success. I'm glad Allegiance is the stage success that it's been. And I know he's got a couple other things in the hamper coming out soon that the nerds will be very excited about. I love George Takei. I think he's wonderful, and I agree with you. I think they're both wrong as well. Yeah.
So
all right.
So you said you're a big Legion fan. You said
yes, I did, and I meant it. Legion of Superheroes.
Legion of Superheroes fan?
Of course, I am.
What's your favorite one?
The 5 years later was. I mean, I love everything. I grew up on the Shooter, Kurt Swan stuff, and Otto Binder writing stuff. I mean, certainly we got enough reprints of it. I had the paperback books that had reprints, and I remember there was one Legion story where Lana's there as Insect Girl and everything. And I love the conceit that the fans got to vote on who would be the president of the team every year. I mean, no, the whole. I told Jeff Johns decades, back, literally over 10 years ago, I'm like, there were two doors in the 70s. There was the X-Men door and the Legion door. And I went through the Legion door and I never looked back because I love the Legion. I love Mike Grell's art. I loved, what's his face, who went on to the X-Men, of course. Shame on me. And I'm blanking right now, the poor guy that passed away.
I talking about Copiel? Are you talking about later, Copiel?
I'm talking about in the 70s and everything. And then he had a bunch of Legion concepts, and then instead took them and made Cockrum, Dave Cockrum. Thank you.
Cockrum. Yeah.
No, it's I mean, I loved when Dave was drawing the Legion and everything, and Giffen. The 5 years later was just so interestingly dark, and such a But again, it's because I cut my teeth with Mike Grell drawing it, and Paul Levitz, of course, writing. Every time Paul Levitz wrote the Legion. And every time I would see him as DC publisher in my early podcast, I'm like, Paul, you're doing a great job running DC. I really miss you on the Legion. And to be honest, in the new 52 years, he was writing the Legion, and those were good Legion books, and they kind of slipped through the cracks. So yeah, I'm a huge Legion fan.
Good to know.
So
I'm fascinated by the history of the project and all the different things that creators have brought to Legion and what it means to people. So I've just been asking people what they think about it. And you're right that voting for the president is an interesting idea.
They were so they were so tied in.
I wonder if you could do that today. It's different than giving out a T-shirt.
Yeah, I think you could do it. And
I wonder if you get the fans vote.
Well, that's what I mean. It's such an interesting like they loved the fan connection to Legion was always strong, even in the 70s and stuff, and I'm sure in the 60s as well. And just the idea that Jim Shooter at 14 is writing the Death of Pharaoh Lad, and I loved Wade and Barry Kitson's run. I thought that was really good, and when Colleen Doran was drawing Legion.
No, Wade and Kitson's run is really something special, and I know people who've read it know this, but if you're looking for a fun dive in, boy, that's a good one. It's super reader friendly.
Yes,
like really
absolutely.
Reader friendly, I had for some reason this time I wasn't. I like both those creators. I didn't, for whatever reason, it didn't get on my radar the first time. Boy, that was a fun read, a fun fun. Every once in a while, you find somebody go, "Ooh, that was fun."
And I loved.
You know what? Grant Morrison's Multiversity, which I didn't get to read when it first came out. I just read it in its entirety, and I was way impressed.
That's funny because I was buying it when it was coming out, and it deserved more concentration than I was giving it on the initial run. And while I was sick in the hospital, I did reread it, and it was amazing.
Oh, you did? Did I mention that to you in the hospital?
You might have, but I know that
did I
maybe,
you? Yeah, okay.
Well, no, you didn't send it to me. I think either you might have texted me or something, or on my own, I just saw it on Amazon that you could buy it digitally. And I'm like, sit down and read it.
Me and my daughter realized we really like stories that feel like a full meal.
Oh yeah,
we like full meal stories.
Of course.
And you only know you have a full meal until it's over.
Yes.
People can point to a movie and say that's a full meal, but you don't know if it's going to be for you, right? And Multiversity, on top of, I think it has something to do with all of what I'm working on right now, but. Looking at all his choices like that, and it's just there's just so many ideas being thrown at the page at once. Quite something.
Yeah,
so,
it was amazing.
Yeah, for people looking for a weekend thing, I think I had trouble reading it in singles, but as a collection, it was brilliant.
No, I felt the same way, and and then I appreciated single issues more, like Doc Shaner's Shazam issue was so great. And I think it was Doc, wasn't it, Doc?
I've actually been thinking a lot about the Ben Oliver issue with the teen superheroes.
That was
in it,
amazing.
It's so different, and it's so different from anything I've done with teen superheroes that I was like, oh, that's really that excites me. That one, and also it was fun to see Ivan, who I'm working with so closely, and Superman being pushed so hard by Grant on his stuff. So I could look at the results of that and make some choices as well. So I really
it's a really inventive story that, as you say, I think reads amazing as a collection, and you really do appreciate the different directions Grant went with in that story.
Oh, by the way, it very well could read good as singles. I'm talking about my brain.
I felt the same way.
I needed to read it.
Well, and certain, the Ben Oliver part didn't click with me when it was in singles, but it made more sense in the collected one. And I agree. No, I poured over the whole thing, and I'm like, oh my god, look at all these legacy characters that he invented. It was great. No, it was really fun.
Yeah, really, really something. Yeah, and for some reason, it inspired me without making me feel like, oh, everything's been done. Sometimes you read something like that and go, well, that's everything.
No, I appreciate that.
Sure. That's 52 Batman, but it somehow was able to do that without
inhibiting you.
It was inspiring, not the wrap up.
No, I'm with you, man. Absolutely. So, and real fast, I wanted to obviously acknowledge you and Mike and what you're doing with the United States of Murder Inc.
We're a couple things with Mike actually that I want to talk about. First of all, thanks for everyone who bought United States of Murder Inc. It's very fun to be back in that world. We have made a deal to make a TV show out of it. So that one sold recently. So we'll have information on that when the time comes. I think everyone knows by now a lot has to happen between this and that for it to be a thing. But at least there's a road. And I was really happy about it because the second season, the second series of Murder really opened up the world for me. I was like, oh, there's a lot of story we can get to here. in a lot of different places. And our third run, which will be out next year, is United States of Murder Inc. versus the Vatican. So you get to see what the Vatican turned into in this world. And what's great about it is if you're a fan of Mike Oeming, you know that he just listens to Art Bell all day and just fills notebooks full of weird icons and conspiracy icons and
he and I.
He's one of those.
You know that he and I are on this Jimmy Church TV series.
Yes. Jimmy. That's the name I couldn't think of. Jimmy
that
Church.
is aired in. It's only aired in Canada and Germany. The History Channel owns it, and it's so funny because.
Jimmy Church only airs in Canada and Germany?
This TV show that Jimmy Church hosted, it's called The Unexplained. At least that's its current.
Oh no, I know about.
Well, and I'm telling listeners if they don't remember, and it's been a while since we've talked. I think the last time I talked about it was when I had Mike on last year, and since then, the producer is like he was convinced that History Channel was going to run it in November, and I'm like, oh, that makes sense, I guess, because it was the 55th anniversary of the JFK assassination, and that was my episode. Because there's like a whole Chicago conspiracy thing that, the conspiracy theorists love to talk about, that that was the focus of my episode. And I know Mike's was, I think, on drones or something like that. But we've been we've literally been chasing this show down because it hasn't aired on American TV. And one of my listeners, Blaine Dowler, great guy, a Canadian listener, is like, hey, they're running it. I can set up my iPhone to tape the TV screen and send it to you if you want. I'm like, please. And the guy even took a picture of literally him mounting his iPhone on like a stepladder and a bucket pointed at his TV. And it was great. I'm like, oh, thank you for doing it and everything. And it's like, Jesus, that's literally been the only thing. And I've, again, through the producers, are like, well, it aired in Germany and it got a good response. And it aired in Canada and it got a good response. And it's like, okay, what about U.S.? Yeah, we don't know. I'm like, all right. So we're waiting. Okay. I mean, it's kind of evergreen. Yeah. They could release it, whenever, and it will, it won't look dated in it or anything. But we literally shot it, 4 years ago now, from 2015.
Yeah, it was weird. Like, he goes, "I'm filming a TV show," and then you wait a year, and you're like, "Did he really film a TV show?" Like, you don't want to be mean to your friend. Like, did he have like a psychotic break?
Well,
like,
it's the production company that made Brad Meltzer's Lost History and Decoded. Yeah, and so I talked to Brad about it too.
It's a real thing. We looked into it, but with Mike, it was always funny because he's always got one foot in the world of conspiracy and aliens and all kinds of stuff, and takes it real seriously. And I love him for it. And we've had a lot of fun with it in Powers as well. That's where the whole Millennium stuff with Powers came from, with an agenda stuff. So we dive into it, and I also know that his passion for it will make great art. Yeah. So we're doing United States Murder Inc. versus the Vatican, and it is just filled with all of Mike's
conspiracy theories. That's wonderful.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, you're going to love it. And so it's funny, we have a couple of chapters that already drawn, but we've paused it because we're working on the Powers 20th anniversary graphic novel. That'll be
out?
It'll be out in November, and it's going to be a fully brand new graphic novel that kind of encapsulates the entire experience and could be the last Christian Walker story. So if this wraps up Powers for us, this would be a nice wrap up, but it may not as well. So we're looking at it as a thank you to the fans for the TV show and for everything. You know what I mean? Like we never wrapped it up. Let's do a nice. I also thought instead of a miniseries, like a graphic novel would be a nice, not making you wait 4 months for the work. Just give it all to you after all the waiting. So that'll be out in November. Wrap around cover wherever DC comics are sold.
Cool. That's great, man.
And also, it's kind of cool to us because Powers of all the books actually started as a pitch to DC that they rejected. So it's very funny to see the Powers trades with the DC logo.
Did Gotham Central come out after your pitch to Powers?
Yes. No, we had pitched Powers to them. They didn't want it. They were right. it would not have succeeded, and we would not have done any of the world building that we did in Powers.
Yeah.
And I've given us a lot of thought, like Jessica Jones needed to be in the Marvel Universe as much as Powers didn't. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm very, very happy the way things went out. But what happened was we had pitched it, and then Powers, in its first 2 years, were a very big financial success. We were selling like in the 50s for a book like that. Is nuts. So that's when both Marvel and DC started looking for Powers-like material, which was flattering. And that's where Gotham Central came from. And both Greg and Ed are my friends. And Greg said to me, "Hey, we're going to do Powers at DC. Are you okay?" And I said, yes. And so it was always kosher. Like, he never pretended that it was. And also, when you read Gotham Central, it's its own thing completely. Just like two cop shows on TV are completely different.
100%.
And I think I liked them more that they both exist, if that makes any sense.
Okay, a new Bendis tape's in the books. I hope you enjoyed the conversation, and looking forward to our next one. Sounds like some interesting shoes are going to drop in the time ahead. Legion, interesting. Obviously, that's cooking, and look forward to see what's coming with the Legion of Superheroes. So we'll see. But thanks for listening to today's Word Balloon. Hope you enjoyed it. Still a few days left in March. We're going to try and squeak in one more episode before we wrap up. But today's episode brought to you by the League of Word Balloon listeners via Patreon and the support there. If you want to subscribe to Word Balloon, you can go to patreon.com/wordballoon or click on the Patreon ad on the front page of wordballoon.com. Thank you again for your support, League of Word Balloon listeners. Word Balloon is also brought to you by Aftershock Comics. They are shaking things up in 2019. They're calling it the year of reading dangerously, and there's a reason why. They've got great graphic novels and comics that are sending shockwaves throughout your local comic shop with groundbreaking series like Garth Ennis and Goran Sudzuka's A Walk Through Hell. There's Animosity by Marguerite Bennett and Raphael de la Tour, and new reads like Oberon from Ryan Parrott and Mike Slakovic. There's also Stronghold from Phil Hester and Ryan Kelly. Dark Red from Tim Seeley and Corin Howell, that just came out last week, and a new graphic novel featuring great war comics from Garth Ennis and Keith Burns, Out of the Blue Volume 1, 72 pages of gripping action, adventure, and aerial combat presented in full color on the finest paper stock and in the popular oversized European hardcover format. So lots of great books on the way and currently available at Aftershock Comics. Some of your favorite artists and writers are there making really interesting books. Check it out. You can find full story descriptions, preview art, and the diamond code to order these books through your local comic shop at aftershockcomics.com. Thanks for listening. Great conversation. More great conversations to come in the days and weeks ahead. I've got some irons in the fire, and looking forward to sharing those with you on upcoming episodes of Word Balloon. Until next time, Word Balloon is a copyright feature of Shaky Productions, copyright 2019.